Sanctuary of the Mechas. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 176 Follow-up. A commotion was brewing in the park in the 4th district. Many nearby residents were watching from afar, fleeing, or alerting the police. Strange explosions had occurred repeatedly in the city over the past day or two, and some people sensed an uneasy peace. The source of the commotion, nestled among the trees in the park, stood 3 people, staring at each other in silence. Strange, my power isn't working, Kara Munro muttered to herself. Even Yuanai was puzzled. She knew the person before her was no ordinary person, but she still didn't understand what was going on. Did Kara Munro hold back? No, maybe I didn't use enough force, Kara Munro concluded. Perhaps it was because the mass was too dense, not yet capable of breaking down, like iron that hasn't reached its melting point, which means it won't melt. Hearing this, I said, the police will be here soon. What are you doing? What's the problem? Why are you getting in the way? Why can't my power penetrate that barrier? Kara Munro asked. You're the ones getting in the way. I'm just walking here. You've started a fight for no reason. That's why I'm here. To answer your question, you may all possess dangerous powers, but improper use won't yield the right results, I said. So, you're trying to deny me, Kara Munro said, judging that his power was indeed insufficient. No need to explain, just one more try would make it clear. Before attacking, Kara Munro said, final warning. Outsiders, leave this place, or, Kara Munro extended a hand, seemingly poised to attack. There are no outsiders here, I said. Kara Munro's hand moved slightly, telling me that if I didn't leave, I would resort to violence. I didn't leave. I saw his arm, shimmering with light, reach forward and deploy the barrier again. Its hand collided with the barrier. This time, Kara Munro exerted even more energy. Seeing that its hand still couldn't penetrate the light wall, it continued to release energy, doubling its power with its telekinesis. For a moment, a turbulent storm erupted around it, but it still couldn't penetrate the light wall, which gradually turned golden. She withdrew her hand, confused, and asked, what's going on? That should be a power that can decompose elements, Yuanai said. It seemed to her like she had lost her arm before, unable to withstand any material. Your ability is decomposition, but my barrier is different. Unconditional attacks are incapable of shaking me, I said. It wasn't something the 2 girls before me could understand. They insisted that it was something beyond the elements, a power born from that person's subtle karma. Is it the primordial spirit? Yuanai couldn't help but wonder. Let's not talk about your dispute, but big trouble is about to come. What do you think? I said. At this moment, Kara Munro said, it has nothing to do with you. Stay out of my way. Once again, I'm warning you, leave this place. Her gaze shone faintly, and the surrounding rubble began to levitate, emanating an intense power. I also understand that this woman's power is far from being this great. If these 2 were to fully unleash their power, they would endanger everyone here, and even the entire city. At this moment, Yuanai, seeing the people who suddenly arrived to stop the battle, couldn't help but change her mind. She said, stop it, Kara Munro. It's time for us to reconcile, Kara Munro said. What do you mean? Let's go back to that place. There's no need to continue fighting, Yuanai said, walking up to Kara Munro. She no longer had any reason to fight and stopped unleashing her power. Thank you, Lord Xingze. We're very sorry to have caused you trouble. We'll be leaving now. I understand a little bit about your situation. Let's go, I said. I received some intelligence not long ago. The path we're on is dark, and it's unlikely we'll ever meet again, Yuanai said. You're right, aren't you? I believe we'll definitely meet again, I said. You're right, I'm just complaining, Yuanai said this, and then she and another woman, Carla Munro, headed in another direction. She had new things to do later. That night, a man named Longmu, who was currently directly under the supervision of one of the 12 major research institutes in the New Century City, was recently knocked unconscious by a young man with a mysterious attack. Now he was walking in the underground research institute. He came to where Dr. Zufang was. He met the doctor at the gate. Longmu, who still had a bandage on his head, said, this incident is over. Okay, Longmu, It's not me who made the decision, it's Mr. Pullen, Dr. Zufang said. Really? Then you also think it shouldn't be over yet? To be precise, there was no winner in that battle, but from the result, we were inferior in skills. Hearing this, Long Mew said, what a joke. The best toys haven't come out yet. What's the point of being inferior? The other party took out incredible things to deal with me. In the end, I couldn't catch one, but was interfered with by a strange guy. Thanks to that guy, I even forgot the appearance of the person who beat me up. To be honest, we are defeated, Long Mew. You didn't come here just to complain to me. You can't even remember the appearance of the person you bullied. It fits your beast-level thinking. Do you want revenge? But unfortunately, you can only sigh for your own incompetence, Dr. Zufang said in response to the man's taunting. Long Mew appeared unconcerned. Such an opportunity will come sooner or later. Before then, there's new work to be done. Regarding other matters, the stone and the key. Hearing this, Dr. Zufang asked, the stone and the key? Are you talking about the ancient artifact? That's indeed highly classified. How did you know about it? Long Mew smiled and said, that's not the problem at all. The key is that the target is already awakening. While I'm very interested in it, it's said to be related to the core of the natural mecha, but something of that level is unsuitable for modern times. Dr. Zufang, you've said something foolish again. Doctor, you need a genius like Mr. Pullen to achieve this, Long Mew said. Dr. Zufang remained silent later. The commotion in Area 4 ended with the departure of the two individuals. When the police arrived, the instigators were nowhere to be found, only traces of their remains. The conference continued as usual, and the 7-day conference gradually came to a close amidst the clamor. The convention featured a variety of student competitions, much like a sports meet, with varying levels of competition to showcase talent. Each college had numerous participants, and the various events lasted the entire 7-day convention. Despite a few hiccups along the way, the convention concluded successfully. After the closing ceremony, my two sisters and I headed off on our own to catch the train home. The intelligence I gained about the elements was partly my own, partly from Guanling, who had been around during the convention, and thus, I also learned some of the lesser-known secrets of the dark side. This city holds mysteries, something I've known for 2 years, and Guanling, the main figure involved, remains torn between two sides. The convention concluded with this. Then came the second half of my college life. Chapter 177 New Students. After the conference, the various colleges returned to their normal routines. A week after the conference, a new batch of temporary new students arrived at Ling College, where I currently reside. It's late autumn now, so the occasional arrival of new students isn't surprising. Therefore, there was a welcome ceremony for the new students today, and I attended classes as usual. I attended the ceremony that morning. It was similar to my previous ceremonies, except that the number of people arriving wasn't as large. It seemed smaller than at previous welcome ceremonies I'd witnessed. While this was normal, the crowds this time were different from those in previous years. There were nearly 20 of them, and they all had something different about them. It wasn't that they were different, but rather that they felt like they were from a foreign land. Considering the college's internal affairs and various circumstances, these people might have been specially assigned there. This college has certain entry requirements, such as those of Guanling. I can't ascertain the details. At this moment, the academy speaker announced, these are the new students joining us. For various reasons, some of them may not be familiar with the natural mechas yet. We would appreciate your guidance, seniors. Welcome this new class. As he spoke, the students applauded, and I joined them in welcoming them. The welcome ceremony concluded smoothly, and classes began, continuing as usual until noon. Later, Dairibo and the others heard that some of the new students were assigned to new classes, while a few were mixed with the other first-year students. During lunch break, Dairibo, who was free, approached me again and said, Xingze, I've heard about this. Remember that woman from the elemental organization performed at the event? Although the academy hasn't explicitly announced it, it seems many of these new students who suddenly arrived this time have connections to the elemental organization. He relayed his intelligence. Elements are the new science that's been hot on the last couple of years. Does this mean there's a collaboration between elements and the higher-ups in New Century City? I asked. I recently met a group of young people from Elements. While the story isn't simple, it seems they were previously engaged in internal strife. Judging from the current situation, both sides may have made concessions. Who knows? The adult world is so confusing, Diaribo said during lunch break. The new students at the academy were mostly assigned to Class 11, Grade 1. The teachers who taught them as a group were all somewhat unusual. They would start from the very basics, and since they hadn't passed the assessment, they would have to learn step by step. Most of the new students were not yet qualified to pilot Mechas. Recently, several people who had been supporting the Mecha Conference mission also joined this class. The student list: Lin Pingman, Yu Fan, Yu Zianan, Feng Chui, Feng Ling, Yuan Zioshi, Wei Ying, Lu Fifei, Gan Liang, Jing Trang, and Yushu, and 24 others. Donning their brand new white and turquoise uniforms, Pingman, Yaofan, and the others were walking down the first-year corridor. "Is this a new life?" Yu Zianan said. "Yes, without a doubt. It's just a matter of how long it lasts," Yaofan replied. "Newcomers don't even have permission to pilot Mechas. That's a shame. I want to control them," Wei Ying said, expressing her new goal. "Isn't it enough to wear real uniforms?" Pingman replied to Wei Ying beside him. "That's great, but it's just the first step." As they chatted, they headed towards the classroom. Many students were curious about the newcomers, their mysterious nature and their uniqueness. Most of the students here had a different perspective than most, possessing a deep understanding of the supernatural. The news of the Yuanling, which had been gradually spreading for a decade, and the elemental organization, which had emerged in recent years, along with many other unique and unusual techniques, were known to a few, but the majority believed in their existence. The same was true for the people of the city. The events here had gradually changed their minds. At the ringing of the afternoon bell, the new students began preparing for their basic course. Speaking of which, the new students were quite enthusiastic about the courses. People like Wei Ying, Yaofan, Yu Zianan, Feng Shu, and Feng Ling were all quite interested in the things they couldn't see at the elemental organization. The organization hadn't specified any specific plans or special activities. They simply sent their children to the academy, much like parents who want their children to grow. The afternoon class began as usual, led by a woman in her early 30s. During the class, a student said, "Teacher Xiaofan, let's get to the practical part. I believe we students should have thoroughly reviewed the basics before coming to school." Hearing this, the teacher, whose gaze was still stern, glanced at the book in her hands for a moment before looking up and saying, "You are indeed a new student, Gan Liang. Regardless of what you think, I don't think it's time to start the practical part yet, so I won't teach you anything." The teacher's icy gaze from behind her glasses pierced the student's rosy dreams with one word. "Wait, that shouldn't be the case. Logically, we should already be behind the other students upon enrollment. We should be faster, right?" The short-haired boy in the front seat, next to Feng Chui and Feng Ling, said. "Gan Liang, do you understand the basic rules of admission to the academy? No matter what your abilities, until you memorize the 51 safety measures related to the natural mecha, the 108 basic knowledge points, and the 250 laws, you can't do anything." "So, you're saying that you and the other 23 have memorized all the basic rules?" "That's not the case." Gan Liang hesitated. Not only did he understand the others, but he himself only had a general understanding, not a complete understanding. It's like a child who can't even walk yet, saying he wants to run right away. It's not the right time yet. "You guys, at least wait until you pass this week's mock exams before I'll consider it," Teacher Shi Yufan said. Gan Liang and the other students were left with no recourse, and the afternoon's basic knowledge classes continued as usual. Ping Men, Yu Fan, Yu Zianan, Wei Ying, Feng Qi Feng Ling, and others, led the others, studied diligently that afternoon, striving to adapt quickly. During these days, they lived the life of ordinary students in the city, studying daily and then returning home to continue their similar tasks. Beyond that, the 24 students weren't particularly united. Within the organization, that is, within the elemental organization, many young men and women formed their own groups. With different missions and varying degrees of competition, which often led to divisions. Just like the divisions among gangs, it was a common occurrence. There were lone wolves, groups, and other groups, all sorts of divisions. Fortunately, this phenomenon was decreasing. In this environment, there was less discrimination, and the students all studied together, each with their own distinct goals. A week passed quickly. Naturally, the first mock exam for the new students had also yielded results. At the bell for the new week, the principal instructor of this class, Shi Yufan entered the classroom and began reviewing the previous mock exam. After entering the classroom and performing the opening rituals, she took the stage to explain recent events. This group of students is progressing at a much faster rate than the rest of the class. Judging by the results of the mock exam, almost everyone has passed. While they were relatively new and inexperienced, their focus on learning is remarkable. Teacher, the results of the previous exam are out, a student asked. Shi Yufan replied, as you said, you all passed this test. The students seemed pleased and happy to hear this. After distributing their test results, Shi Yufan added, next, we are about to enter the crucial experimental phase. Please don't let your guard down. Chapter 178 Freshmen's Courses. As the new students lives at the academy progress day by day, they gradually master basic skills and begin the tasks required of real students. From the perspective of the class leader, Teacher Shi Yufan, the students' progress is remarkable. Their foundation is strong, and they possess an inexplicable enthusiasm. These elemental boys and girls, far from being averse to the machinery, are rather fascinated by it, appearing like young children. It's unknown what these individuals' pasts were like. Although their identities remain unknown, and those who ask are often orphans or abandoned, their true circumstances remain to be determined. The academy's higher-ups are also interested in gathering intelligence on them, but so far, they've rarely used their abilities. As a teacher and intelligence collector, Shi Yufan's primary mission is to help students grow in the right direction. Intelligence must come after that, and it's a prerequisite for the former. However, sometimes the choice is difficult, and as a role here, how to effectively fulfill it is a question worth considering. One afternoon, the students of Class 11, Grade 1, were practicing Mecha operation at the testing grounds. Because this class involved teamwork, they were paired up in pairs. The Mechas were operated in unmanned, remote-controlled modes, a common feature of everyday Mecha use. In this mode, the operator would undoubtedly be a target during a duel, requiring a helper to protect the remote operator's surroundings. Of course, since this was a simulation, they simply coordinated with each other to perform certain actions, much like a fire or earthquake escape drill. Following Teacher Shi Yufan's instructions, the students quickly formed groups. Yufan and Yu Xian, Lin Pingman and Wu Yang, Feng Chui and Feng Ling, and other groups were visible. At the end of the grouping process, someone was left alone and ungrouped. This person was a man, identified at a glance as student ID 12, Xingze. After everyone had formed their groups, he was the only one left alone and couldn't find a partner. Shi Yufan approached the group and asked, "What's wrong? Where's Xingze's partner?" Shi Yufan knew that there were 24 students in the class, and no one was absent today, so there wasn't a missing partner. It was obvious, so Shi Yufan asked despite knowing the answer. At that moment, a female student appeared. Lu Fifei replied, "There's someone in the corner not far away who's also from our class." Hearing this, Shi Yufan looked over and saw a young man sitting quietly in a corner, looking confused. He instructed the other students to prepare for practice and then walked towards the student. The student sitting near the corner was student ID 15, Yuan Zioshi. He was a thin-skinned student, often ranked in the bottom 3 in the class, and was known for his quiet nature. After a while, Shi Yufan approached the young man and said, "Student ID 15, Yuan Zioshi, what's wrong? It's group practice time now, and we can't start without one person." Hearing this, Yuan Zioshi slowly raised his head, expressionless, and said, "Sorry, I thought it was okay to watch a class like this." "Really? It's not nice to be lazy. Go ahead, your partner is waiting." Shi Yufan nodded slightly, stood up, and began walking towards the other students. At 1 o'clock in the afternoon, the class began the practical course again, gathering in the large training ground. Shi Yufan, one of their primary instructors, stood in front of the students and instructed them on what to do next. "Today we are going to compete in groups. Students will form 2 groups, students numbers 1 to 12, and 13 to 24, Shi Yufan said. The students looked at each other thoughtfully. Shi Yufan continued, "It's a light team training exercise. One team will be the escort team responsible for escorting the cargo, and the other will be responsible for obstruction. The obstruction team only needs to stop the other team within a certain time limit or create some obstacles. I will judge the results." The students then began to split into 2 teams as instructed by Teacher Shi Yufan. However, during this split, everyone hesitated. Lu Guang, who was in positions 1 through 12, said, "Teacher, This division is a bit strange. There are people who are different from us in positions 1 through 12, and there are also our companions in positions 13 through 24. Upon hearing this, Shi Yufan took a look around. Positions 1 through 12 included Lin Pingman, Yu Fan, Feng Chui, Feng Ling, Gan Liang, and Jing Trang, while positions 13 through 24 included Wei Ying, Yu Xiaonan, Lu Fifei, and An Yushu. Shi Yufan carefully observed that Lin Pingman, Feng Chui, Feng Ling, Wei Ying, and Yu Xiaonan formed a small team, while the other team consisted of Lu Guang, Lu Fifei, and Yushu, Liu Xianshen, Gao Liang, and others. The remaining neutrals were Shi Xiaoyan, Jing Trang, and Gan Liang. What's so strange? Aren't you all students here? Shi Yufan responded. That's true, but, Lu Guang hesitated, his words unsettling. She wasn't wrong. It was just that during their time within the elemental organization, during various missions and training, people within the organization had more or less socialized with each other. And that was still the case until now. There were already several people with whom they had bad relations, like enemies. Get going. There's no reason for you to fight here, Shi Yufan suddenly said in a cold voice. Seeing the teacher's serious expression, the students reluctantly agreed, but considering their priorities, they all lined up and made preparations. Their mission was to transport a coffin-sized load, carried by a natural-shaped mecha. 1 to 12 would be the transport and escort team, while 2 to 24 would be the intervention team. A simple offensive and defensive battle would be conducted to test the students' current abilities. After a while, the two sides lined up, and their trial machines were all ready. Suddenly, a young man named Lu Guang from the 1st to 12th team said, when we carry out the mission, it is better for both sides to stay away from each other to avoid hindering each other. Hearing this, Wei Ying on the side replied, not many people want to get close to you, of course the same goes for me. What? Wei Ying, you bastard, when did you become a team with these guys? Lu Guang said unhappily, don't joke, what are you talking about here alone? We are about to carry out a mission, don't hinder us before we start, Jin Chuang said at this time, that is to say, I won't say anything for now. At least I don't remember having any contact with you. Don't be arrogant, Wei Ying responded, damn, it seems like there is no intention of forming a group at all. Lu Guang had already revealed his hostility at this time. And the other two beside him were standing behind him, ready to support him. At the same time, on the other side, Ying Jianwen was arguing in front, and some disputes also started in the back. The leader Lu Fifei said, it seems that there is no point in cooperating with you, isn't this necessary for survival? Yu Xiaonan said, this and that are two different things. You always embarrassed my team in the past. Why should I play with you in a friendly way here? Lu Fifei, the woman with long brown hair, showed a hostile look. Hearing this, Yu Xiaonan didn't explain, his eyes shone slightly, and a watery aura gradually separated from his body. He had no intention of backing down. You're right, the organization didn't give us any restrictions, but considering the daily life here, I have been restraining myself, but now it seems that there is no reason. What are you talking about? A guy who relies on the ability of the team members? Lu Fifei couldn't help but sneered. Want to try it? You idiot. The quarrel between the two sides was intensifying. Shi Yamen saw it all. For a moment, he realized that the situation could not be improved and waved to another tall male teacher with a mature face and said, Teacher Gaonan, go and deal with them. I understand. The man on the side who looked like a physical education teacher in an ordinary school rolled up his sleeves and strode towards the students who were most angry. Chapter 179 New Problems. The young man walked towards the area where the students were arguing, appearing in the crowd with lightning speed. A massive stone pillar stood between them, its presence drawing the students' attention. Gaonan, a man standing beside the pillar, saw the students regain their composure and said, will you please stop? Do you all want to accept the Academy's punishment? Everyone fell silent, no one wanting to be punished. Gaonan then added, as you can see, this Academy has many individuals with unusual abilities. You are among them, so you are responsible for maintaining order. Of course, special methods are required. I will do something specific depending on the situation. As he spoke, the stone pillar beside him glowed faintly green and began to transform, gradually shrinking and returning to its tower-like shape. I'm not very good at debate. I'll act directly according to the situation. If you don't want to be beaten, please follow the rules. Seeing the power emanating from that man, the students restrained themselves somewhat. After all, he was a teacher assigned to this class, and he understood the students' abilities. Naturally, he would have someone to take charge, otherwise chaos would ensue. For a moment, the two sides were arguing endlessly, and the students who were about to engage in actual combat quieted down after being persuaded by Shi Yufan and Gaonan. From what they saw, it was clear they weren't united. Although they shared similarities, there were differences. Some disliked certain people, sometimes immediately, and sometimes the opposite. This was a common occurrence among students, and tracing back would be extremely complex and difficult to explain. This was all due to human karma. However, as a teacher, the results of their assessment were already in. Shi Yufan approached the students and said, "Let me explain, this test is no longer necessary." The students were all bewildered, but under the woman's cold gaze, they all knew it wasn't going to be a good thing. A student asked, "Why is that?" "Because the results are in. Before continuing with your course on natural-shaped mechas, you should first understand how to interact with each other." The students were puzzled, and many sighed. Jin Chuang asked, "Teacher Shi Yufan, what are you going to do with the next classes?" "For the next classes, the specialized courses will be reduced by half. The reduced time will be used to teach you different lessons, focusing on the meaning of being human. You should all attend." "Really? Is it starting right away?" Jin Chuang continued. "Starting tomorrow, I'd like you to write a self-reflection on what you did today. Will you do it, or will you accept the punishment?" Upon hearing this, the students accepted Shi Yufan's proposal and began to pack up their supplies, preparing to return to their classes. Shi Yufan followed, saying, considering the students' situation, that they should consider teaching them the principles of compassion and equality, as advocated by religion. After that, the students in this class, under Shi Yufan's guidance, headed in a new direction. From careful observation, they all seemed to lack a sound understanding and possessed a strong competitive spirit. It wasn't that imparting experience would completely change things, she was simply doing what a teacher should do, given her authority here. Shi Yufan wasn't perfect, but she was considered well-suited to take charge of the students. Besides diligently fulfilling their duties, they were also responsible for observing their daily routines, assessing these during various classes and determining the appropriate approach in reporting. As the students questioned, since they didn't come from ordinary families, but rather from more bleak backgrounds and with connections to each other, their instructors would be different. As they saw it, Shi and Fen were also different from most other teachers at the academy. Day by day, under Shi and Fen's guidance, the students gradually improved their attitudes, and the atmosphere of unity within the class was much better than before. Individually, many students still had challenges, which Shi and Fen considered beyond their reach. Over time, the students passed the academy's various Mecha basic assessments, earning them Mecha piloting privileges. Further development would lead to specialized Mecha courses. This was a specialized field, and most students entering such an academy were destined for a specialized career, and this class likely began this journey. One morning after class, Shi Yufan said to the students, "We have a new proposal. Most of you are newcomers and don't know much about this academy. In order to help you better master some knowledge, there will be a mentor assignment activity." Hearing this, a student said, "Mentor assignment activity? What is that?" "There are many elites in this academy. They are all people with outstanding achievements and a lot of experience. Some are your seniors, some are teachers like me, and there are other types. The mentor assignment means that you can find a mentor you like to be your guide. I have brought the name list. You can take a good look at it. Although this is the case, you don't know most of the people on the list." Shi Yufan said so and began to pass down a copy of the list to each student with the help of several students. Hearing this, another student said, "Well, so it's the same as finding a master, but I don't think there's anyone more suitable than you." "You're not right, Jing Chuang. I will continue to be responsible for the management of this class. Looking for a mentor is out of consideration for your future. Choosing the right person to be the leader of your career is a very important thing. You should consider this seriously. I have repeated the courses on this aspect. Making a mistake may very likely mean the fall of your life." Hearing this, Lu Fifei, who had been enlightened by listening to Shi Yufan's teachings, said, "In this case, I still need people like you to teach you. I can teach you some things, but to live here correctly, it is not enough to rely on me. I am an incomplete person, and it seems to me that it is difficult to find a complete existence, so more learning and cognition are needed. This activity can be said to be your first task. Do your best to complete it." Hearing this, the students said, "Okay, depending on the situation, I will assign you a mentor. Soon after, Shi Yufan left the classroom because the bell rang. Then it was lunchtime. The students were all thoughtful after hearing Shi Yufan's words. Soon some students will go to the cafeteria for lunch. Here, Lin Pingman also stood up from his seat silently and walked out of the classroom. At this time, Yufan and Yu Xiaonan also walked out of the classroom one after another. In the corridor, Yu Xiaonan asked Pingman, "What do you think about what the teacher just said?" Pingman responded, "I don't have any ideas about these for the time being. Let's see how the situation is later." That's right. As teacher Shi Yanfen said, we don't know most of the people on the list. Although there are some resumes on it, that is still not enough, Yufan said. In that case, let's observe later and look for them through the people on this list, Yu Xiaonan said. This method works. Most of the people on the list are tasks within the college. It should not be difficult to find them, Yufan said. At this time, Pingman said, "You do that. I still don't want to care about so much for the time being." After the voice sounded, the three of them walked from the corridor to the direction of the stairs and walked towards the floor. Chapter 180, Finding a Mentor. Class 11 of the first year at Xingze Academy recently embarked on their first task, finding a mentor. Following the guidance of teacher Shi Yufan, this somewhat unique class has now begun this task. The criteria for finding a mentor have been detailed in previous classes, and there are certain criteria. The most important factor here is the student's vision and the other necessary qualifications. There are at least 25 people on the list who can be observed, some of whom are senior students at the academy, and many more are other faculty members. Selecting from these individuals requires considerable intelligence, including detailed information and on-site observation to determine if they are suitable and meet the requirements for a mentor. While this is only the student's perspective, many other factors will limit their ability to find a mentor. There are numerous challenges to overcome, and this process is certainly their responsibility. As we've heard in class, this initial step can be extremely crucial, forcing many to proceed with caution. Recently, during their spare time, many students in the class have been conducting practical investigations into the candidates on the list, prioritizing those who are seniors, who are easier to find and who are the top priority. Among them, there was a third-year student with a dignified appearance and remarkable achievements. He seemed to be exceptional in every aspect, impeccable, and had garnered considerable attention. Qin Liang's appearance in the roster had pleasingly impressed many women. Consequently, many women began observing him from the shadows during their spare time, either from near his class or after observing his upcoming schedule. When the women saw him in person within the academy, his every move quickly convinced them that he possessed more than just superficial powers. They abandoned their investigations and chose to approach Qin Liang directly to express their thoughts. In the open space beside the playground, several female students approached Qin Liang. Lu Fifei, leading the way, approached their senior and respectfully nodded and saluted, saying, "Senior Qin Liang, we heard you're qualified to be a mentor. Please listen to my request. Why don't you accept us as your disciples?" Upon hearing this, Qin Liang, who was about to head to the college office building with Lin Qin, the monitor of another class, clutching some documents, turned to the woman and said, "I did receive such a notice a while ago. However, you should seriously consider whether I'm qualified to be a mentor, or to become your mentor. You should carefully confirm." There were 3 women before him, and based on the number of disciples a mentor should lead, there should be no problem. The problem lay in other aspects, such as what Qin Liang had said. Whether one was qualified to take on a leadership role was something Qin Liang himself considered, even a subtle matter. "Senior Qin Liang. To be honest, I confirmed it a while ago, which is why I came to you," Lu Fifei said, his eyes filled with admiration as he saluted. "Me too," a girl bowed. "Me too," another girl followed suit. 3 people followed suit. Qin Liang hadn't thought it through. Lin Qin, standing beside her, said, "Wait, what are you doing? Don't do this so suddenly. You should think it over carefully." As he said, hearing this, one of the women, and Yushu, said, "This has nothing to do with you. We've already decided." "Yes," Lu Fifei said. Qin Liang pondered silently. The 3 people before him all expressed interest in becoming his disciples. Lin Qin, feeling a bit upset by the sudden interruption, saw a different situation. While the 3 people's sincerity was evident, the other half seemed like bees drawn to nectar. "Wait, Qin Liang, are they really here to become his disciples?" Lin Qin thought. Qin Liang then decided to pause for a while and make a decision later, which the visitors agreed to. Over the following days, the search for mentors continued, and many students had already found their mentors. As the days passed, nearly half of the students had assigned mentors. Qin Liang accepted 4, Lu Fifei, and Yushu, Huiyang, and Jingchuang. Furthermore, Hua Qian, a young woman holding a high-ranking position within the academy, accepted 3 disciples, Feng Shu, Fengling, and Wu Xiaoliu. Wang Liang, another young independent student in the upper echelon, accepted 3, Ganshu, Lu Guang, and Duan Kong. After a few days, most of the class, having already found mentors within their ranks, quickly made their own decisions and assigned themselves to the mentors listed. During this time, 7 others remained unassigned: Lin Pingman, Yuan Zioshi, Yu Fan, and Yu Xianan. Shi Yufan maintained this information and possessed unique insights into each student in the class. She observed that some students did not need mentors, suggesting they would not be a major problem, or perhaps there were no suitable candidates to manage them. However, there was still time for her to act. With this in mind, during lunch break, Shi Yufan tracked down Lin Pingman, a member of the class who had yet to find a mentor. During the break, Shi Yufan summoned him to a spot on the lawn and asked, "Pingman, how's your mentor search going?" Pingman replied, "No results yet." For Pingman personally, finding a mentor wasn't particularly important. Even if he couldn't find one, it wouldn't matter. Shi Yufan understood this and continued, "As for this mentor search, I've said that sometimes it can be extremely important. Depending on the circumstances, it's fine if you don't find one. However, I see someone I can recommend to you." "Hey, who's that?" Pingman asked curiously. "The 13th person on the roster should still be at the academy. You can check on them later. If there's any inconvenience, just say I recommended them," Shi Yufan replied. Okay. With that, the two concluded their discussion and headed in separate directions, each with their own priorities. Afterward, Yu Fan and Yu Xianan, 2 others also searching for a mentor, stumbled upon the incident and developed a new interest in their search. They later approached Pingman, and Yu Xianan asked, "Pingman, what did teacher Shi and Fen just say? Was it about a mentor?" Pingman replied, "Yes." "Did they recommend someone to you?" Yu Fan asked. "That's right. It's number 13 on the list. Teacher Shi and Fen recommended it to me." Upon hearing that there were 13, Yu Fan pulled out a list he was carrying and flipped to the page for number 13. He examined the name and found it was a student still on campus, a senior. No special mention was made of their characteristics or other characteristics, simply that they possessed experience and considerable strength. They hadn't accepted any disciples yet. In the corridor of the academy's circular building, a woman in green walked forward. Before her stood a woman with dark blue hair. That woman, Shi and Fen, was holding the list of students, pondering something. Seeing her pondering, the woman in green approached Shi Yufan, peered at the list she was examining, and asked, "Teacher Shi Yufan, are you considering assigning a mentor to the students listed there?" Shi Yufan glanced over at the crimson-haired girl before her, Guangling, who was silently observing. "As you said, there are some students who are difficult to judge," Shi Yufan replied. "Is that so? So, you're looking at the students list in a place like this. If you don't mind, could you please give me the person on that list?" Guangling asked. Shi Yufan, slightly puzzled, asked, "Why? Are you interested in this? I don't have much to do at the academy lately, so please give me the person on that list you're considering." Just one person, Shi Yufan pondered, and the two remained silent. As someone who had lived at the academy for a long time, Shi Yufan had some understanding of the girl before her. She had quite a background, and her recent remarks were ambiguous. She certainly had the skills and experience to be a mentor, but she wasn't the right person. In contrast, the list she had just seen designated one person, Yuan Zioshi, Shi Yufan. As one of the most difficult students in the class, Yuan Zioshi, no matter how she looked at it, he was the only one she could assign to her. After careful consideration, Shi Yufan concluded that the boy in the class truly needed something different and said, "Student ID number 15. What do you think of this student? Do you want to mentor him?" Seeing the profile on the person Shi Yufan handed over, Guanlin chuckled and said, "Yes, I'll recommend him to him later. As for whether he's willing, that's not my business," Shi Yufan said. "That's fine." Then the two of them went their separate ways. Chapter 181 Looking for a Mentor. The next day, teacher Shi Yufan recommended a new mentor to Yuan Zioshi, a student in the class who hadn't found one. Shi Yufan's recommendation was a carefully considered decision, as Guanling was unlike most other mentors and, in some ways, unexpectedly suitable for the role. Therefore, this recommendation was an opportunity. As a teacher, he hoped Guanling could offer some assistance to the student, but it was difficult to say for sure, as the words had already been spoken and could not be undone. This was how things would turn out, and the situation remained to be seen. That afternoon, 3 younger students walked down the hallway of the 3rd grade classroom. Leading them was Pingman, a man with dark blonde hair, accompanied by Yufan and Yu Xiaonan. Pingman had come to meet the potential mentor, as the teacher had suggested. Since they hadn't found a mentor yet, Yufan and Yu Xiaonan had also come along, considering sharing a mentorship with Pingman. Walking through the corridor of the 3rd grade classrooms, they searched for their target class. Since it was lunchtime, many students would likely be heading to the cafeteria, and the 3 of them saw this as an opportune moment to visit their target. Their target was in 3rd grade class C13. Walking down the long corridor, they gradually passed class C11, class C12, and finally arrived at class C13, the classroom with the class sign. A steady stream of people were walking down the corridor toward the cafeteria, including many from their class. Of course, they didn't recognize anyone in the class, but they quickly spotted the person they were looking for through a nearby window. After confirming this, Yu Xiaonan suddenly whispered, "We found them. Looks like our trip wasn't in vain." "That's right, but they're still inside. It wouldn't be a good idea to just go in. After all, it's a 3rd grade classroom, and there's no one we know there," Yufan said. "That's right. Why don't we wait outside? It's just lunchtime, so they should be out by then," Pingman said. "Wait, should we do something? Wouldn't it be terrible if they don't come out?" Yu Xiaonan said. "It's okay. They're probably waiting for the second wave to head to the cafeteria. If they don't come out in 10 minutes, we'll storm in," Yufan commented. As the 3 of them were discussing, the 3rd grade instructor candidate, wearing the same uniform as the others present, but with a different number of stripes on the arms, approached. I confirmed that the 3 people standing outside the classroom seemed to be busy, so I stepped out. They all exuded a unique aura, the elements. Unlike those I've encountered in the past who possess seemingly supernatural abilities like elemental manipulation, these abilities are already in the developmental stages, and many students outside are developing them. However, these 3 are different from those in the developmental stages, they are more mature. Arriving at the door, I spotted 3 people standing not far away. I silently glanced at them. They suddenly looked flustered, then stood up in a straight line. The dark-haired boy, at the head of the group, approached and said, "Excuse me, are you Senior Xingze?" Pingman asked. "Yes, I heard you're one of the mentors. With the teacher's suggestion, I assume you're." Pingman hesitated mid-sentence, unsure what to do. The practice of identifying a mentor upon meeting them without even having made an appointment or met them in person is a matter of course. At this moment, Yufan pulled out a list, handed it to me, and said, "Please take a look at this. This is the purpose of our visit today." The list contained candidate mentors with my information printed on it. They were here to discuss the mentorship matter with me. I've certainly received some inquiries about this matter recently, and it's been the subject of some scrutiny. However, no one has yet to discuss it with me. Personally, I don't think I'm quite cut out to be a mentor. Want to discuss mentorship with me? I asked. Yes, sure. If you have any questions, you can talk to me. I might be able to help. You all graduated from that institution, right? I glanced at Pingman. He paused, then asked, "Senior, do you have any insights into that? Who are you?" A lot was exposed in the recent incident, and I just happen to know. As you can see, I'm a student here. Really? Yu Xiaonan asked. She seemed hesitant. Perhaps the person before her was an enemy or something. Then, is it okay for you to be our mentor? Yes, I said. At that moment, Pingman suddenly felt a subtle sense of belonging to the person before him. It was as if he had encountered someone truly superior to him. In close proximity, without even speaking or exchanging glances, he could sense this simply by being there. Thinking that person would be a great mentor, Pingman bowed and said, "Please be my mentor." Seeing the sincerity of the person before him, he nodded in agreement. The 2 remaining people who had followed Pingman were still hesitant about what to do. The person before them might be quite different, not only because of Pingman's recognition of him, but also because he knew something, whether that would be good or bad for them and the others. The two were slightly confused when another, somewhat conspicuous person emerged from the class. He had red hair and a somewhat simple, foolish demeanor. He approached the candidate for mentor and asked, "What's going on? Really? Are you recruiting younger students?" That mentor, recalling the recent trend of assigning mentors to underclassmen, the red-haired man placed a hand gently on the shoulder of Xingze, the candidate, to confirm that one of them had been assigned to his friend. The other two women, still confused, said, "You all seem confused about assigning mentors, especially the red-haired freshman over there. How about I be your mentor, since we have the same hair color?" A silence fell over them. Regardless of who the red-haired senior was, he didn't look trustworthy at all. In a sense, he looked more like someone who could be a subordinate. "Forget it, my hair seems a little different from yours, it's orange," Yu Feng said casually. The red-haired man's hair was even more red. Further deliberation ensued, deciding whether to assign to the mentor Ping Men's. "That's right. In that case, I'd like to ask Senior Xingze to be our mentor," Yu Xiaonan said, beginning to walk towards me. Yu Feng then lightly approached, and the two of them bowed and said, "Thank you." Seeing this, I said, "Okay, it's confirmed. From now on, you are my 3 disciples." They both replied, "Confirmed, really? Although I'm your mentor, I won't be interfering with you for long. All I'm saying is, just let me know when you need help, and the same goes for mentoring. I'll report to the Academy's higher-ups afterwards, and that's all," I said. I don't have much experience with mentoring. I can only recall Guanling doing something similar in the past. It's a bit strange, given her poor academic record and a few minor violations. But it's the reality. "Okay, I'll be looking forward to your guidance," Yu Xiaonan said, nodding and bowing. The other two did the same. "Same here," I said. After the 3 of them signed the list, their search for a mentor came to an end. Chapter 182 Talks. The mentoring process for the classes Shi and Fen had gone smoothly, with no real problems. A few students hadn't found a mentor, but that was a consequence that afternoon, after school, at dusk, Yuan Zioshi, a student in class 11, was walking toward a destination. Most of the students had already left the academy. At a corner in a corridor, he encountered a woman with dark red hair and a green dress. She looked over and said, "Nice to meet you. Are you Yuan Zioshi?" Yuan Zioshi replied, "Yes." He had come because his teacher had asked him to meet a potential mentor. He had no real expectations of finding one, he simply wanted to meet and leave. Mission accomplished. The woman before him had unkempt gray hair, looking ill-groomed. However, this wasn't a matter of lack of cleanliness, but something deeper. Guanling discerned a hidden danger within the person before her and asked, "What's your heart set on doing?" "What is it? What are you talking about?" Yuan Zioshi replied softly. "I know you share a similar past to mine, so I'm asking you, what do you want to do? You're someone who wants to do something, otherwise, there's no reason to live." Those dark crimson eyes pierced Yuan Zioshi's exposed protective barrier. Perhaps the person before him truly was someone close to him. "Wait, what are you trying to say, teacher? We're discussing this. Before we proceed, we should understand each other's principles. We're discussing whether or not you could become a mentor." Yuan Zioshi understood from these words that the person before him wasn't like most of the qualified mentors in this academy. She was, in some sense, someone who could become Yuan Zioshi's mentor. "Senior Guanling, you're supposed to laugh, but I'm different," Yuan Zioshi said. "You're right. I'll laugh. It's simple. It's not a matter of whether or not you can do it, it's just a matter of whether or not you want to do it." Yuan Zioshi remained silent after these words. He lacked the ability to debate, but he was trying to clarify something. Seeing this, Guanling asked again, "You said you're different. Do you mean you don't smile, or do you mean a true smile that comes from deep within your heart?" Hearing this, Yuan Zioshi nodded and said, "That's right, Yuan Zioshi, just curling up your lips and imagining something wonderful. What kind of smile is that? Acting? You can't do something like that." "No, as you said, I don't want to do it, you just don't smile. Everyone in this world does it, just in different ways. Some are smart, some are stupid, some are right, some are wrong. Aren't you one of them? Yours is an indifferent character, and that does have many problems. Even if it's wrong, it can still work if you keep repeating it. It's all about your way of life. If you ask what's wrong, it's undoubtedly your fault for being born into this world. You can fake a smile, and I can't. That's a difference. That's it. Let's forget about that. Hearing this, Guanling understood and didn't want to say anything more. Yuan Zioshi was leaving in another direction. He had already decided that Yuan Zioshi was not the right person to be his mentor, and the mission was over. Guanling left in another direction. Willingness to laugh or unwillingness, since they're both false, make no difference, and therefore cannot be the primary reason for the relationship between mentor and disciple. Failure aside, finding a disciple is a viable option. Guanling still has a disciple slightly older than her, whom she met 2 years ago, though the distance between them is quietly widening. They're now engaged in different endeavors. Afterward, Guanling headed in another direction, toward the circular corridor on the 3rd floor, intending to reach the other side. On her way, she bumped into me at a stairwell. Seeing me, she said, "Xingze, you're still in school at this hour. What's wrong? Did you come to see me?" "No, today I became a mentor, something you've done before. I took the time to submit the list to the higher-ups at the academy," I said. "What, is that so? But if you want to be a mentor, you'd really do something like that." Guanling looked slightly bored, but she reacted to the following sentence. She had just failed. "You're right. It's a strange thing, but for some reason I just accept it," I said. "It might be because they're elementals, but I accept it anyway. I'm not around those people all the time anyway, so it won't have much of an impact. Compared to that, you haven't seemed to consider me a master or mentor lately." "No, nothing like that. It's still the same as always. If I had to say, I recently took on a new young master and learned a lot from him, some of which was very helpful." "That's fine. Our relationship is the same as before, right?" She probably meant a relationship like a lover. "That's right. Not much has changed." Guanling nodded in agreement. At that moment, I sensed a different feeling coming from her, as if it were coming from within her body. "Guanling, is there something strange about you right now?" I felt puzzled and wanted to reach out and touch her head. It was a subtle sense of incongruity. Perhaps my cultivation wasn't quite there yet, so I wanted to confirm it further. At that moment, Guanling dodged my outstretched hand slightly, looking slightly startled. It's okay, Xingze, don't get caught up in these delicate matters. Really, I do have methods to treat some unforeseen spells and diseases, but Guanling doesn't seem to need them right now." Strangely, she deliberately avoided them. "I have some countermeasures that might help," I said again. "No, I don't need them." Seeing the man in front of her trying to reach out again, Guanling's eyes shifted slightly, showing resistance, almost to the point of resistance. That could be a dangerous situation, not because of the conflict between the two, but because there might be something abnormal about Guanling. At that moment, a patrol officer passed by. Seeing two people standing at the deserted stairwell in the dusk, looking strange, he asked, "What's wrong? Most students have gone home at this hour. What are you doing?" "No, we're planning to go back soon," Guanling said. "This academy's rules prohibit intimate contact between men and women on campus. Please do not violate the rules, even when no one is watching," the patrol officer offered a warning. "We understand," Guanling replied, then gestured for me to proceed down the stairs. We then ascended the stairs one after another to the first floor, reaching an open space outside the door and slowing down our pace. "Xingze, are you going home now?" Guanling asked. "Yes, are you going home tonight or staying at school?" I said. "It's fine either way. I don't have anything special to do today, really. If you want to go back, I'll take you there." "Then let's go back," Guanling said hesitantly. With that, we headed towards the dusky road. After passing through the college gate and onto the street, we hailed a taxi. Guanling's residence was in District 8, next to District 7. While not far, it would still take some time. We climbed into the taxi and sat in the back seat, heading towards District 8. Guanling and I didn't exchange much conversation during the ride. She sat next to me, her head slightly lowered. Not long after, the taxi arrived at District 8 and parked near Guanling Street. We both got out. Guanling was hiding something, that was self-evident. We both understood it, something unspoken. Even without saying it, I, sitting next to her, sensed it, and it was probably not a good thing. Guanling was also well aware of this, as was the person next to her, but that was the end of it. There was no chance of further discussion between the two parties, as one side was unwilling. I knew that, given the current situation, any further discussion would likely result in a confrontation, just like what had happened 2 years ago. Walking down a quiet street in the 8th district, the sky was gradually darkening, approaching winter. As she walked, Guanling pondered her future with the person before her. Well, I'm so sorry for keeping it a secret from you. As you said, I'm a little different now. You can notice the subtle changes. I've truly improved a lot, Guanling said. As she said, in terms of relationship, she's still my master, and I don't think I've surpassed her just yet. There will be a time when I'll understand. Until then, let's see how the situation unfolds, I said. You're right. It will happen soon. If things get tough, even if you say you don't want to, I'll stop you, I said. I understand. Let's do it, Guanling nodded silently and said softly. Soon, we arrived at Guanling's home. That's it, I said. Really? It's rare for us to come here together. It'll happen again, right? Guanling said. Yes, goodbye then. I patted her shoulder gently and walked away toward the stairs, ready to return. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 183 Mission. As the days passed, most of the new students in Class 11, who had been enrolled for a while, had already adapted to their new life. For Pingman, the time here was much better than his previous assignment at the institute. This was likely not unique to Pingman, most of the new students felt the same way. During this time, Pingman had met with his instructor several times, discussing matters related to the institute, as well as technical exchange, cultivation, and the elements. He received considerable advice from his instructor, which he benefited greatly from. His new instructor had shown him something new about his time spent at the research institute, and this was truly thanks to the teacher, Shi Yufan. That day, the class continued its usual routine. The students had already adjusted to the new environment, and some of the more talented students had reached senior level levels. The overall level of the students in this class was quite high. Therefore, the institute would consider developing their special abilities and had prepared tasks for the students to assess their progress. During the break, the three assigned to the mission were Pingmen, Yufan, and Yuzianan, all Xingze's disciples. Following Shi Yufan's instructions, they were about to embark on their first real mission. Invited by the Academy's leadership, the three and I were summoned to an office. When I arrived, the three were already there, and their instructor, Shi Yufan, was waiting nearby. As I stepped into the office, Shi Yufan said, Xingze, there is a mission for you this time. Can you listen to it? Well, I heard that it is a mission related to these three people. Let's talk about it, I responded. Hearing this, Shi Yufan said, that's right. This time you will take these three people to carry out the mission. The content is about the relevant reconnaissance mission of the Green Alliance. Green Alliance? Isn't that a big organization that is one of the three major alliances? What are we going to do? According to the news we received not long ago, the branch of that alliance is located in the 32nd area, the Green Forest realm. There is something strange there. According to reports, it seems that it has been invaded by some species, but the headquarters did not say anything specifically. From the intelligence department here, this incident seems to be related to mutation. The details are not very clear, so I would like to ask you to join there and find out the truth. Really? Then the mutation mentioned may be related to the incident at the border of the New Century capital half a year ago, I said. We are planning to confirm this. This incident is the same as the previous one. It is a confidential mission. Please pay attention. Really? So, has it been decided, Xingze? Shi Yufan asked. I've decided. I can go, I replied. Hearing this, Shi Yufan glanced at the three people beside me, Pingman, Yufan, and Yuzianan, and asked, what about you? Pingman nodded slightly and said, this is a rare opportunity. I'm going. We too, Yuzianan said. That's right. We need to grow and are happy to carry out this mission, Yufan said. Shi Yufan then wrote down the mission list on the document board in his hand. After confirming it, he said, we'll depart tomorrow. We'll deploy 2 natural-shaped mechas. We'll pass the information to you later. Please review it carefully tomorrow, okay? After confirming, we all left the office one after another. This was a brand new mission. For Pingman and the others, this was their first at this academy. Unlike the missions they had received at the elemental organization, it wasn't a must-do, and the three of them were truly happy to undertake it. It was a clear difference from that place. The three of us spent a night in a designated residential area near the academy, reviewing the mission information. The next day, as we were about to depart for our mission location, our moods remained largely unchanged. Yet, a subtle sense of either going against the current or with it was evident, the latter undoubtedly the case. It was a truly uncanny feeling. That morning, at the Academy's designated natural mecha tunnel, the three of us arrived one after another, preparing to depart. With Pingman leading the way, the three of us arrived at the tunnel. In the empty area, we could see a few people, some of them staff members wearing hooded, light blue uniforms. On the other side, the instructor could be seen approaching. "This is your first mission. How is it going? Are you feeling okay?" I said. "No problem, I'm looking forward to it." Ditto. It was indeed a first for me and the three of us. I'd never led anyone or worked with anyone before, and sometimes I was just the executor, but that probably wouldn't make any difference, so I wasn't worried. "Let's go," I said, heading forward. We'd board a Sky-type mech to reach our destination. We were planning to take two, but one would suffice. It was the latest Sky-type, with a subtle transformation feature that allowed it to transform into a fighter-like configuration. While airborne, it was even faster, and the cabin had more room, enough for 4 people. Therefore, one was sufficient. The other 3, besides me, weren't fully accustomed to piloting a Sky-type, let alone the latest model, so I took the controls to our destination. The 3 of us sat next to me and in the seats behind me. "Ready to go? Have you taken all the necessary safety precautions?" "Yes, no problem," we confirmed, our seatbelts secure, and so on. Then, as the engine started, the energy signal crossed the green threshold, and the cyan-blue mech began to move along its tracks. A moment later, it passed through a tunnel and hovered over the city, confirming it's heading northeast. Our target area is the 32nd sector, the Green Forest, home to the Green Alliance branch headquarters, near the border of the New Century City. This area, the 7th sector, is located slightly east of the center of the New Century City, but quite a distance away. The estimated arrival time is 1 hour. I'm currently driving the sky-shaped mecha towards the target location at my usual speed. After repeated improvements, the sky-shaped mecha has become quite stable and has ample energy. While it's not my most skilled mecha, I have enough skills. Therefore, this one is sufficient, unless I encounter a difficult or dangerous battle. Upon reaching a certain level of skill among mecha operators, specialized mechas are manufactured based on the pilot's characteristics. These typically require a license, as specialized mechas are often significantly more powerful than standard mechas. Indiscriminate use can cause significant damage to the area and the environment. I currently don't own a dedicated mecha. As the mecha smoothly advances along the route, after a while, we're approaching the 32nd sector, the Green Forest. Chapter 184 Green Forest Realm. Soon after, the machine gradually landed in an open space next to a grove of trees. Pingman and I, along with the others, emerged from the cabin one after another. This is the open area of the Green Forest Realm. Not only can we park our machine here, but there are also a few other machines nearby. Landing here also makes it closer to the Green Alliance branch's base. The surrounding environment is filled with greenery, with many old, almost ancient-style buildings. While there are some high-rise buildings, most are relatively low, and each building is surrounded by greenery. It's like a city in the woods, hence the name Green Forest Realm. Next to it is the outskirts of the New Century capital, a stretch of green forest connected to the mountains. That area is also under the jurisdiction of the Green Alliance. At that moment, Yuzayanen said, "This place is truly beautiful." "Is that where we're going?" Hearing this, I replied, "It's nearby. Let's walk a little further." With that, the 3 of us began moving again, this time on foot, along a path resembling a forest path. Our mission this time was primarily observation. There was no need to hide, and no special tasks to be done. Our first priority was to visit the Green Alliance branch's headquarters. From the Academy's perspective, they should have already communicated with the other party, so there was nothing to worry about. I read the mission information yesterday. It describes some mysterious destruction and changes in the jungle. The source of the information hasn't been fully confirmed, but according to insiders, this incident seems to involve something important, Yuzayanen said. I said, "The changes are probably related to a strange creature. You might not know, but I encountered one about 6 months ago. It was a unique species that plunged the entire green jungle into crisis. The personnel involved called it a demon beast. Demon beast, Pingman reacted, then said, I've heard similar terms at the research institute, Pingman, it's not confirmed yet. This mission is about investigation. Let's get to the bottom of the situation first, Yaofan said. The research institute where the three of us were located was indeed conducting a lot of research, including some genetic experiments, but whether there was any connection to that was unclear. Yaofan is right. Let's go take a look, I said. Then we headed deeper into the trail. One of the Green Alliance's branch bases was located in a forest near the border of the Green Forest territory. We walked a distance apart and gradually saw a large building in the distance, emerging from the trees. It resembled a massive fortress. We approached it along a path through the trees. In front of a nearby clearing, several people were milling about. They wore a distinctive green medallion, tied with a green knot on their arms, necks, or foreheads. As we approached the clearing, 3 patrolmen approached. One of them said, Who are you? This forest is off limits to tourists. Please return the way you came. I asked, Why? The patrolman glanced around and said, This area is undergoing maintenance. To provide greater convenience and safety for visitors, it's temporarily closed. Really? We're in, Yuzayanan said casually. At this moment, a patrolman nearby looked at the person next to them and said, Didn't we say yesterday that we'd set up a security system and put up a no-entry sign? Did you miss it? I'm so sorry. The young man lowered his head and stroked the back of his head. Never mind. Anyway, outsiders are not allowed here right now. Please go back, the patrol officer in the middle said. I see, but I'm not an outsider. Look, I said, pulling out a document from my coat. It contained my elite-level document and the application for this mission. The officer examined it carefully, confirming it was genuine. He then asked, Are you and all of you students from Holy Water Spirit Academy? Indeed, I said, and the 3 others nodded. In that case, there's really nothing we can do. To confirm, I'll first take you to headquarters and meet the executive director, the patrol officer said. Okay, let's go. With that, we headed towards the large building at the center of the branch, attracting the attention of many nearby Alliance members. Finally, we arrived at the building. From a closer look, it revealed a massive, castle-like structure with a retro, artistic aesthetic, and a naturalistic feel. To the side, a stone pillar entwined with branches and vines bore the image of a dragon. A female statue stood in the center, surrounded by numerous trees, some sculptures, others covered in verdant branches and vines. After a moment, we were led by 2 security guards into the building. Inside was a beautiful space, neat and spacious, with numerous potted trees and flowers planted on both sides. The air was refreshing, and there was a transparent glazed skylight overhead. Walking along the long corridor ahead, we found several passages. The guide pointed to the right and said, Go this way. Following this path, we came to a wide staircase. We ascended the stairs to the 2nd floor and were led to a room. The door opened, revealing something resembling an office. A man with brown-gray hair, dressed in a white uniform, sat at a desk, reading a document. He looked up at us. The guide said, This is the current executive director Luo Lin. Please talk to him if you have anything to say. Hearing this, the executive director Luo Lin said, Are you the task executors from the 7th area? Yes, we are. We should have been notified in advance, right? I replied. You are right. We are just some students. I am really surprised. You can't underestimate us, it's nothing. The purpose of visiting here is to observe, understand? That is to say, tell us the information about the previous mutation incident, I said again. Hearing this, Luo Lin chuckled and said, Don't worry, young man. I have had such a situation before. This incident is still under investigation. We originally wanted to complete it internally, but since you are here, why not come and help, everyone? What about the information? You can't say that there is no progress yet. Unfortunately, as you said, there has been no progress yet. It is still under investigation, Luo Lin replied. Really? The area of mutation is indeed nearby. We should be able to go and have a look, I said. That's of course no problem. But as you said about the rumors, there are mysterious destruction and mysterious creatures. Please be careful. If possible, I will assign several experienced people to accompany you. Is that not necessary? No need, this area is quite large. If you encounter any trouble, please ask for support here, Luo Lin said. Hearing this, I said, I understand. Let's go. After speaking, I turned and walked towards the door. Pingman and others followed behind and left from the door. Chapter 185 Investigation begins. A moment later, we left the castle and arrived near the base. There was no progress, so we needed to further investigate based on the intelligence we had. Senior Xingze, what should we do next? Yuzayanan said. As planned, we'll head to the side of the anomaly, starting with the northwest, I said. We then headed northwest, where we could see a sparse crowd of people. They were all members of the Green Alliance, some working for them. As we passed, many gave us strange looks, something Yuzayanan and the others noticed. As we walked, Yuzayanan whispered, Senior, there's something fishy about these people here. We look suspicious. Don't worry about that, we have permission, I said, continuing northwest through the trees. As we did so, I sensed a number of gazes. Besides the regular members, there were likely hidden pursuers. I didn't know what they were up to, and it was difficult to confirm in the jungle. As we walked deeper, I said, be careful now. This forest is dangerous in many ways. Are you talking about the monsters? Not sure yet. Continuing on, we entered the depths of the woods. Based on the map, we were quite close. We surveyed the area for a while but saw no strange signs, no monsters. This was indeed one of the sites where the anomaly occurred. We wandered around and came across a clearing near the trees, where we saw a rather chaotic scene. There was some scattered wood debris, and signs of a struggle. What are those? Yuzayanan said. This was indeed near the source of the anomaly. I walked closer, carefully examining the traces. Some had been cleared, but some remained. The remaining traces gave me a rough idea. Traces of battle. Someone fought here, and there was a connection with a mysterious creature. It's quite possible it's a monster, I said. The uncertainty was that monsters have a distinct aura, which should be detectable nearby, so we couldn't be sure. What should we do next? Yuzayanan said. Let's go to the second location. We haven't found enough evidence yet, I said, preparing to leave the area. The second location is southeast, quite far from here, Yufan said. That's okay, let's go. Hearing this, the three of us continued to follow without further ado. We then followed the woods to the inner city border of the Green Forest realm. The second location required passing through the city, but it wasn't necessary, it was just a matter of route. Go right, I said as we reached a simple urban street, glimpsing a small harbor. But the right direction is, Yuzayanan said, understanding something as he went along. He then followed me into the harbor in silence. This direction deviated from the second location, but that wasn't the problem, it was the pursuers behind us. They moved cautiously, seemingly using the jungle as a specialty, and even the city itself was probably their territory. We settled into silence, leaning against a wall, waiting for them to catch up. Not far away, the Green Alliance duo assigned to follow the four men were located. One wore a green headband, 2 red marks on his face, and his skin was bronzed. The other wore the same pattern. Seeing the other man heading down a small path, they quietly followed. After determining that they were some distance away, they cautiously approached the intersection and peered. For a moment, they saw no sign of anyone. Could they have quickly escaped down the path? As they pondered this, a figure appeared behind them. I appeared from behind them and asked, "Are you the ones following us?" The 2 men were startled. The red-haired young man broke into cold sweat and said, "Wait, that's not right. Didn't you just go that way? There's a door in that little harbor." "It's the back door of the shop next door," I said. "We all went around that way." "Really? There's nothing we can do if we're exposed. In fact, we're here to monitor you under the arrangement of the executive minister." Upon hearing this, Yuzayanan said, "What?" At this moment, the other young man with the black hair said, "Don't get me wrong. You might get into trouble if you enter that jungle. We're here to look after you. Didn't you say before that it wasn't necessary? Why are you doing this? Then you have to ask the executive minister." This time the executive minister seems to be a careful person. Weird things have been happening in this area recently. He's probably worried about your safety. After all, he's the person in charge, the red-haired young man said. "Is that so?" Yuzayanan said. "Now that things have happened, how about we lead the way for you? Otherwise, I won't be able to report to you," the red-haired young man said again. "No problem. We don't know the way very well, but before that, please tell us, did anything happen in the woods just now?" I said. I said to the red-haired young man. At this moment, He hesitated for a moment and said, "There are traces of fighting there, and they haven't been completely cleared up yet. We're not sure what it is, a mysterious creature or something else. We're still investigating, so we can't make a definitive conclusion. Is that true? You always use this excuse to brush it off. You're hiding something, aren't you?" Xingze asked. "No, that's true. We're still investigating, and you haven't gotten any different information, have you?" the red-haired young man replied. "Okay, we'll take your word for it. Next, let's have a meal here. Lunch. You lead the way," I said. The two men were slightly surprised to hear that they were going to eat. The black-haired young man beside them said, "So that's the idea? You want us to lead the way?" They didn't refuse and led us to a nearby famous shop. The Forest Restaurant, a place with a natural atmosphere. Since it was already noon, we decided to stop here for a while before heading to the remaining locations of the anomalies. Given the time and urgency of the mission, we had plenty of time, so we didn't have to rush. While resting in the restaurant with the two Green Alliance members, I discussed recent developments in the area. They reported a series of mysterious attacks over the past month. Local residents and those involved in the incidents have suggested mysterious creatures, individuals with special abilities, and even criminal elements. The Green Alliance is currently handling the case, questioning whether it's connected to the previous incident. We will also be intervening in this matter. We understand that one of the two people before us, the red-haired young man named Linton, was also a student at Holy Water Spirit College and has since graduated and joined the Green Alliance. Junior Xingze, I got to know you a year ago. At that time, you were indeed a well-known person in the academy, Linton said. No, there is no such thing. Qin Liang should be the famous one, didn't you defeat him? Anyway, I accidentally forgot after I joined here. I'm so sorry, Linton said. It's no big deal. Anyway, this is the first time we meet. Thank you for your guidance, senior, I said. After a period of rest, in the afternoon, we were ready to enter the next stage of the search. Chapter 186 Progress. After that, led by Linton and another man, Feng Xiang, we passed 2 or 3 more locations of unusual events, but we didn't make any significant progress. We also discovered a few traces of struggle at other locations. Beyond that, we didn't see any suspicious figures, leaving us temporarily unable to grasp the situation. The same was likely true for the Green Alliance, as there were 2 or 3 more locations of unusual events. As the afternoon wore on and darkness gradually darkened, we decided to call it a day. We planned to stay near the Green Alliance branch's base, where there were some vacant rooms for us to spend the night. Therefore, we didn't need to look for accommodations and decided to stay near the base. At dusk, Linton and the other man dropped us off near the base and left. They had their own matters to attend to, and the rest of us stayed in a nearby house. Sitting at the round table in the living room, Xingze asked, "Didn't we gain anything from today's mission, didn't we?" Yufang said. "Judging from the results, we haven't figured out the situation in this area yet, but we did gain something, the question being how relevant it is to the truth of this incident, change? Perhaps it's related to the environment," Pingmen said. "The people in the Green Alliance should understand this better than we do. We'll have to wait and see how things develop for a while. For my first mission, I'm really not nervous," Xingze said. "If it were to end so easily, with nothing unusual, that would be a good result, but I don't think so in my heart. I haven't found the key to the mission yet." At night, I sat alone near a sparsely populated house. From here, I could sense the surroundings. It was a forest that looked uneasy, and something might be about to happen soon. At the door of his residence, Ping Meng's phone rang. Seeing the source, he paused for a moment before answering. A voice rang from the other end. "Ping Meng, you're near Area 32, right? Are you doing well there?" A calm, cold voice touched him, and he responded, "Yes, what's up, Hong Mei, just calling you directly? Well, there are several of our members in your area. There's an interesting place over there, where my people are conducting experiments. Hearing this, Ping Meng sensed a connection between this incident and the organization, and his alertness immediately increased. Ping Meng received different intelligence, and later relayed it to the other two. It wasn't anything interesting or reassuring. All three had received special intelligence from the organization, and it wasn't an urgent mission that needed to be completed. Failure was allowed, but the problem lay in the conflict between their missions. The question for the three of them was what to choose. That night, nestled beside the house, they pondered silently. Their organization was enormous and threatening, making it difficult to disobey. Even so, the situation wasn't yet certain. Like two people on a balancing scale, how should they choose? They couldn't decide. That person's working nearby. What a coincidence. It's a terrible accident, Yuzayanan said. Never mind. It's not time to make a decision yet. It's okay, Pingman said. Yu Fan remained silent. The caller, Hong Mei, was no ordinary person. A few within the organization had heard of her as a dangerous figure with connections to the 3GR members. That night ended there. The next day, as planned, the three of us would visit several other locations where the anomalies had occurred. We had conducted rotational searches that morning, and the results were largely the same as yesterday's. While we didn't find much, we did confirm some of the situation. The results of the aforementioned investigations were as follows. The remaining areas were further afield, extending beyond the New Century capital to the areas beyond. At noon, near the Green Alliance branch base, I could see groups of people training nearby. We were heading inside to investigate the latest developments. We were about to enter the massive Green Forest Palace. Near the entrance, I spotted a man with brown-gray hair and a white suit. That man was Executive Director Luo Lin, who was contemplating something not far away. So I walked over to him and said, Executive Director Luo Lin, what are you doing now? I'm considering our next plan. Did you know that unusual events have been occurring deep in the forest? Not just sudden changes, but also human activity. Something sinister is brewing around this area, Luo Lin replied. Although his expression remained unchanged, it was clear he had a new idea. He explained what was happening within the forest, not just sudden changes, but also human activity. In the past 2 days, our executive staff from the Holy Water Spirit Academy have been exploring this area for a while, but have not found any important results. May I ask, where exactly is the place where the incident occurred? This? You are right. I haven't told you yet. Now I will tell you, Luo Lin said, looking around, and said, the target location is located in the outer territory of the 32nd area of the New Century capital, which is next to the New Century capital. It is close to the outer territory leading to the southwest, and is located in the direction of the valley. Hearing this, through Luo Lin's words, I understood what was hidden in his words, what Luo Lin was hiding, and now he told me. Why, are you saying it now? This incident should not have happened after we came. That's right. I noticed it 2 weeks ago, but now the situation seems to be getting worse. The upper level said that it was to conceal it from the outside world, but there is something strange about it. The upper level not only concealed it from the outside world, I am afraid there is something hidden from me as well. What are you referring to? Regarding this incident, I am afraid it is related to the New Century capital and other third parties. Third party? I said the so-called third party, meaning something other than New Century City and the Green Alliance, is involved. Judging from the situation, it's not the Demon Beast. The Demon Beast's driver, the root figure known as the Demon King 6 months ago, is probably no longer around. Luo Lin's words now swayed Pingman and the other three. They believe the third party might be a clue. Yes, I've actually secretly sent my relatives and subordinates to the Outer Realm to investigate the situation there. I'm still unsure of the third party's true identity, Luo Lin said. He seemed cautious, constantly checking his surroundings. It was clear that although he was the executive director here, he must have someone monitoring him. I'd heard from the other members before that he was the current executive director. Really? In that case, let's join the Outer Realm search this afternoon, I said. The Outer Realm was the key area. It was precisely the place we hadn't visited. That's true, but honestly, it's quite dangerous for the four of you to go there. The people there probably wouldn't get along with you, and there are also unidentified anomalous creatures. There's also an unidentified third person, right? Don't worry, this is our mission, I said. You probably didn't expect your mission to be this extensive. It's better to reconsider, Executive Director. Telling us this means you trust us. Leave the rest to us, Luo Lin, I said. After a moment's hesitation, Luo Lin made up his mind. Okay. I'll ask some of my relatives and subordinates to assist you later. Please be careful on your journey to the Outer Realm. I understand. After discussing it, we reached a unanimous decision, and after receiving his contact information, we dispersed. It was lunchtime. We were scheduled to leave for the Outer Realm that afternoon, but considering the danger level, I decided to use one of the machines. Before that, I planned to discuss it with the other three. Sitting in the shade of a deserted tree, I spoke to the three people before me. Did you all hear the mission intel just now? They nodded in unison. Yes, as Luo Lin said, the danger level next is likely to be no less than before. I'm saying you should be prepared, or even just give up. Hearing this, the three looked at each other thoughtfully. They probably understood the danger of this mission better than the people before them. If they weren't careful, they could lose their lives. This incident carries enormous unknowns and risks. After a moment, Pingman said, I'll go. There's no other choice. Following his words, Yufan and Yu Xiaonan responded, saying, me too, then be prepared. I know you all possess special powers, but if there are unknown enemies, we don't yet know their capabilities, I said. The three silently agreed. Whether it was a mission here or for the organization, the answer was to keep moving forward. They knew their easy days were probably over. Chapter 187, Leading to the Outside World. That afternoon, the three of us decided to head out into the outer realm. We had already discussed our itinerary with Executive Director Luo Lin, and he had already prepared some food for us. Although we hadn't yet set out, we were aware of the dangers of the outer realm and the many unsolved mysteries it holds. We were ready to set off. Under Luo Lin's escort, we arrived at a forest road west of the base that afternoon, a faster route to the outer realm. Luo Lin only saw us this far, saying before parting, thank you, Forest God, for your blessing. May our wishes be fulfilled and our obstacles overcome. The three people standing beside me still had serious expressions on their faces. I said, it's almost time to leave. Are you ready? They nodded in agreement. Pingman said, yes, we can leave soon. Then, Luo Lin, we'll be leaving first, I said to Executive Director Luo Lin. Well, have a good trip, Luo Lin replied with a serene expression. I then headed into the jungle, and the three followed me. Luo Lin turned and headed towards the branch base on the other side. We continued through the deep jungle. According to the map, we first had to cross the border of the new century capital through this stretch of jungle. This road was said to be a common route for illegal intruders, but we weren't going to enter or leave illegally. We simply took this route as it seemed natural. By the way, that machine, natural second, call it over and let it wait near the border, I said. Hey, can't we just take it there? Yu Xiaonan said. There are inspectors at the border dividing line. Once the machine crosses it, it will be discovered. If it doesn't stop, it will be chased. I don't want to waste time going through the application over there, I said. Really? Then what's the point of stopping near the border? No, in case of any dangerous situation, you can also drive that machine. If you want to escape, you should be able to do it. Really, the sky-shaped machine can be used for search missions, but our mission should be to go into the forest to find it. The second is too large and not suitable for forest exploration, I said. When I came here, I just wanted to use it as a means of transportation, and it can also be used for combat when things are bad. I see. Master, you've been really careless. If we can't negotiate with the people from the outer realm, that's going to be very troublesome, Yu Xiaonan said. That's right. We can only hope for Luo Lin's support, I asked. Is Master good at working alone? Yufan speculated. No, he's quite good at it, but that's only because of the freedom he has. In terms of mission efficiency, the results probably won't be very good. A division of labor is better in this regard, really? So we're still needed right now, isn't that so? Yu Xiaonan said. Yes, I guess. Proceed cautiously. The three people accompanying me seemed to be adapting well to the place. Their recent behavior had given me a subtle sense of amiss. Perhaps they were hiding something from me. We immediately continued through the deep forest. The journey to the border took nearly an hour. We then passed a tower and located the boundary between New Century Capital and the Outer Realm. We've reached the border, I said, confirming through the controller that second was somewhere nearby. Are we finally heading out of the city? Yu Xiaonan asked. That's right. There's a hidden route in this area. A massive tree and its surroundings have created a path leading to the outside world. That's what I heard. It's a convenient way to illegally trespass, Yufan said. But it's usually guarded by members of the Green Alliance. We then continued along that hidden route. According to the executive director, only a few people know about it. Luo Lin specifically told us about it because of the mission. After a short jungle path, we gradually came into view of the ancient tree, rumored to be thousands of years old. Standing over 100 meters tall, we stood before it, akin to a giant versus a dwarf. Its branches stretched out in all directions, covering a vast area. The gaps between its roots allowed people to pass through. A mysterious aura permeated the surrounding area. It truly was a tree with an epic history, shrouded in legends, even before the new century capital appeared. What a huge tree! I've never seen one before. The chirping of birds echoed around us, rarely heard elsewhere, but only here. It was a good symbol, like a source of energy. Not a bad place. According to the route, a little further on, we'll reach the outer realm, I said. About 200 meters in, we continued along the path beneath the giant tree's roots. Perhaps because people occasionally pass by, the ground was relatively flat. Continuing on, past a small path there, we were almost through the new century capital. It's such a dense area. The branches prick me. It hurts, Yuzayanan complained slightly. Bear with it, Yufang said. We passed through a dense area one after another. According to the map, we were almost at the border, within the boundary between the outer realm and the border. The surveillance tower not far above us was a good indicator of our direction. Not far, we're almost at the border, I said. We were less than 100 meters from the border. I could sense the presence of people ahead, so we were almost there. Besides people, there was something else, permeating the air ahead. It was subtle, hard to detect, but there was a high probability that something was ahead. We continued on for a while, gradually passing through a jungle and reaching an open area ahead. Geographically, this spot marked the boundary between the border and the outside world. The outside world lay ahead. Looking out, we could see a number of Green Alliance members stationed nearby. According to Luolin, they were probably investigating the area. Executive Director Luolin wasn't entirely clear on the details. He was primarily responsible for management, and therefore, he had noticed something amiss. He had secretly dispatched his relatives and subordinates, including us. Those people ahead are members of the Green Alliance, right, Yuzayanan said. Parked ahead were no fewer than 10 natural-shaped mechas, all of which appeared to be models developed exclusively for the Green Alliance. There are people monitoring this area at the annex, and it seems that outsiders are prohibited from entering. Well, let's go, he said, and we headed towards the direction of the outer jungle. Chapter 188 Infiltration. Pingman, Yuzayanan, and I, along with the other 4, moved toward the guards standing in front of the outer forest. A moment later, we came into their sight. One of them, a young man dressed in green and wearing a headband, approached and said, "Where are you from?" "This area is off limits to the general public." Hearing this, I said, "We've received a mission from the Holy Water Spiritual Academy to investigate the unusual situation in this area. No matter what your mission is, no one except us is allowed to approach. Please return," the other party said. Hearing this, Yuzayanan said, "Wait, we've also received orders. You know, your execution chief," she wanted to say, but stopped herself, remembering that the execution chief might have been kept in the dark about this incident. His actions shouldn't be casually discussed. Here, it would be better to say that they were independent, or that they were acting under the Academy's name. What? That's it. I handed the man the application document for this mission. He quickly learned that we were from that prestigious academy, sent by higher-ups. I was also an elite, so I had quite a background. At this moment, groups of 2 or 3 were approaching. A man in a white uniform approached and said, "Oh, you're here to assist us in the investigation?" Unfortunately, the area head is our responsibility. There's a lot of areas nearby that need investigation. Please take a detour. Are you the commander here? I said. I'm one of the responsible parties, so to speak. Anyway, the area head isn't where you need to go. Our mission isn't to assist you in the investigation, but to conduct our own investigation. I've already shown you the clearance document. There's no need to stop us, I said. Hearing this, the man in white frowned. Don't be ridiculous. This isn't child's play. Just showing a certificate will get you through. The gatekeepers here say no, and we're the ones in charge here. Seeing the people around us, it seemed they had their sights set on us. Compromise was difficult. Perhaps they were hiding something. Really? Then when can we get through? I asked again. Hearing this, the man said, who knows? Probably when this incident is almost resolved, it will be difficult for us to report this way. You should tell us the information in the forest later, I said. I see. You are also a formal investigation team. I will inform the executive director and pass it on to you later. The other party hesitated for a moment and said, That's good. We'll take a detour first. Having said that, I started to move away from the outer area in the other direction. At the same time, Pingman and the other three followed silently. We passed through the bush path on the side one after another, gradually moving away from the side of the guards. When it was basically confirmed that there were no surveillance, Yuzayanan said, "We don't really have to take a detour." "Really a detour? Just a detour to the jungle in the outer realm? Teacher is so good at lying, it's worth learning," Yufan said. "No, this is probably not a lie, it's just skillful application," Pingman said. As we walked along the jungle path, I said again, "From what we saw just now, there are people guarding the surroundings of that area, outer realm. It should not be easy for us to go there. I think we should wait until dark before we act." "That's right, senior, but isn't the forest scary late at night?" Yuzayanan said. As we walked, Yufan said, "The probability of encountering risks will increase." "No, I think senior is right. Let's go at night. At least getting rid of the guards won't be a big problem," Pingman said. Judging from the temperament of Pingman and others, most of the previous guards were not simple tasks. Instead of breaking through head-on and causing trouble, it would be better to sneak in quietly. Furthermore, with winter approaching, the sun would soon set, bringing nightfall very close. Therefore, it was a more logical choice. After discussion, the three of us all agreed with my opinion and decided to wander around the area, searching for a good breakthrough point. We were now near the jungle outside the outer realm, observing the surroundings. As I'd expected, the outer realm was guarded at regular intervals. This was the situation outside, and the inside was unconfirmed. The Green Alliance had indeed deployed a large number of personnel to guard this area. I didn't know why, but the problem was likely within the jungle. We wandered outside the outer realm for a while, and then the sun set and night fell. In the cold forest, we had found a good breakthrough point and were about to advance. "It's about time to set off. It's very cold here," Yuzayanan said. Hearing this, I said, "It's time. Get ready. Let's see the situation later. We'll approach from the air." "From the air? I'm not very good at that," Yuzayanan said. "Me too, mentor." "How about the two of us approach from the land?" Pingman said. "That's fine, I'll take 2 or 3 people with me, and we can also pass from above," I said. "I see. But it's fine for me. Mentor, just take Pingman and Zayanan with you," Yufan said. "Really? When the wind blows later, we'll go together and calm down first," I said, and then we all calmed down, feeling the wind drifting in the forest. Suddenly, a breeze blew over. The wind was neither strong nor weak, as if the forest was inviting us to enter. For a moment, I took Pingman and Yuzayanan from the air, and rose to a higher place in one breath, away from the woods below, above the side of the guards. While maintaining a certain distance, I stepped on the green and red light clouds and approached the outer world from the air, above the barrier of the guards. Yufan followed behind, his body engulfed in red flames, as we followed the current in the air. In a tailwind, we drifted past the guarded area of the outer realm in a flash. After a short distance, we descended into the forested area of the outer realm. About 50 meters past the entrance to the outer realm, Pingman, Yuzayanan, and I landed smoothly. Yufan also landed as the red light gradually faded. At this moment, a man 50 meters away, sensing some movement, looked around and asked, "Did something just enter the forest?" Hearing this, the guard on the other side said, "No, it was the wind. It's quite spooky here at night, with a constant chill." "No, I did sense a few presences, like strange lights flashing by." "Don't say it, it can't be ghosts. Besides, even if it entered our designated entrance, there are sensors back there that will sound if someone enters." "Really?" In a clearing somewhere in the outer forest, looking in the direction of the guard, we could see what looked like small sensors around the trees, probably to prevent intrusion. However, our position seemed to have breached the defense. "Are there sensors over there?" "Our aerial approach seems correct," Yuzayanan said. "There might be something else ahead. We should have been aware of it when we entered here," I said. All three of them understood, seemingly less complacent than before. Chapter 189 Exploration. It was 8:45 p.m., and we were advancing through the forests of the outer realm. Yuzayanan asked as we were on the road, "We've made it in safely, but what do we do next?" "Let's see what's going on first. If nothing goes wrong, we'll be able to confirm the situation in this area tonight," I said. Really, we continued deeper into the woods. The guards were wary of anyone entering, perhaps because something lay hidden deep within. As we moved deeper, I began to sense a faint, eerie aura emanating from the surroundings. Something must be just ahead. It felt similar to the residual aura I'd sensed at the previous mutation site. Just ahead, we should be able to understand what it was. After walking for a while, we reached the end of a forest path. There was a cave ahead. Before it was an open space. An ominous aura emanated from it, a black hue visible to the naked eye. This was something I'd seen before, a black aura very similar to that one. Around it, a pile of scrap metal, spare parts, and other debris lay. The black aura gradually dissipated, and a small monster emerged from the scrap metal. It was the size of a dog. It sized him, and it was trembling, as if trying to adjust. Seeing this, Pingman said, "That's a small creature, shrouded in black aura." Appeared to be just that at first glance. But as it drew closer, it became clear that it was more of a mechanical dog than an animal. Its body was clad in a variety of synthetic steel, and the seams connecting its body were visible, like a texture pattern. Warcraft, I'd love to say that, but it's a little different from what I've seen before, I said. That little creature, quite miniature, isn't it? Will it attack? Yuzayan asked. Walk up and reach out your hand, won't you find out? Yufan said. Don't be ridiculous. Look at those dim eyes and those steely teeth. Can you reach out your hand? Yuzayan said. Then let me try, Yufan said, stepping forward and slowly approaching the unknown creature. He bent down and took a closer look. It had sharp claws and a seemingly sturdy body. When I reached out my hand, it immediately revealed a sharp gaze and immediately opened its mouth and lunged at me, attempting to bite the slender hand in front of me. Instantly, red flames shone, and a red prokaryotic barrier appeared in front of her hand. It blocked the mysterious creature's attack. With the high temperature of the flames, it gradually melted into water, and the black gas dissipated. On the way, it turned into a pile of scrap metal and fell to the ground. It really attacks. I'm glad we didn't try to shake hands with it, Yuzayan said. Is this a demon beast? Yufan stood up and returned to our side. It looks like one. It should be classifiable as a demon beast, I said. One of the conclusions we can draw from this is that the Green Alliance is hiding something. It's a little different from the previous incident, but it's probably demonic. What should we do next? Pingman said. We haven't investigated the areas we need to investigate yet. We'll continue, I said. We simply knew of the demon beast's existence. If that's true, the Green Alliance members had already noticed it before us, but why they kept silent is unclear. Therefore, we will continue. To complete the investigation, we must find the root cause. Only then will the mission be considered complete. We've accomplished this mission before, and will continue in this manner. Really? Just make sure we don't find a place to rest after this, Yuzayan said. That's not a problem. Let's go, I said. Then, we each searched the surrounding area of the cave for important clues. After searching for a while, we emerged from the cave, finding nothing crucial. So, we decided to head elsewhere. As we headed toward the other side of the jungle path, we noticed several figures approaching from a short distance ahead. They were human figures, and we all sensed them. Gradually, in the moonlit forest, about 6 of them appeared before us, their faces clearly visible. They were all wearing something resembling green camouflage uniforms, some with green bands tied to their heads, others on their arms. Among them were the Green Alliance's emblem, a tree silhouette. One of them asked, "Who are you and how did you get in here? Outsiders are supposed to be prohibited from entering. You're not our colleagues, are you?" Hearing this, I showed them my application documents for this mission and my student's ID, and said, "We're not outsiders. We're the personnel responsible for investigating the incident. Holy Water Spirit College should have informed you." Seeing this, the other party said, "Really, investigators? But this jungle has been stated before that outsiders are not allowed to enter. Even if investigators enter someone's home to search, they cannot touch other people's important things. It's like a thief who steals a treasure chest without permission. Do you understand? What you did is not allowed." "That's right. Someone else should have informed us that entering this area is not allowed," said another person. Judging from the current situation, it seemed that we were in a good position to argue with them, but we couldn't back down. I said, "Members of the Green Alliance, you are like a thief who has penetrated deep into Dong Xingze's home. If we don't enter, we can't confirm what was stolen. Our mission is to investigate thoroughly. There is no reason to back down." "You're right. These guys, claiming the forest as their own, are incredibly foolish," Xingze said. Why aren't you letting us in? Are you hiding something? Yu Fan asked. We can't tell them about Luo Lin, and we can't interrupt the search. So what should we do next? Several members of the Green Alliance glared at him, some even furious. We're told you can't enter, so you can't. Anyone who enters will be treated as an illegal trespasser and detained immediately. As he spoke, one of the members approached, seemingly intent on capturing us. Last chance, get out of here, said the green-haired young man who seemed to be the leader. Having already discovered clues about the demonic beast and the black aura, it seemed like there was no way they could call it a day. Facing this situation, Pingman and the other two, while not optimistic, weren't it bad either. We must find clues to the change here, no matter what you're hiding, I said. As soon as I finished speaking, a powerful aura emanated from the men. A green figure materialized in front of the green-haired young man, hovering in the air. It was probably a primordial spirit. Its green form instantly glowed, and the surrounding trees suddenly sprouted branches and vines. I transformed my sword and severed the strange branches and vines that threatened to reach me. Meanwhile, several nearby figures radiated a tender green light. Some of the surrounding vines extended, others emerged from the ground. All heading towards us. I slashed repeatedly, the green light gleaming as I severed several vines, sending them falling like loose sand. But there were so many of them, some striking towards the three of us. A watery light enveloped Xingze, and some of that water transformed into sharp blades, severing the branches and vines one after another. At this moment, 3 people suddenly attacked us, each wielding a mysterious green weapon. Unleashed by their energy, they transformed into various forms, a net, a spear, a sledgehammer. Their nets enveloped me, but I slashed them with my sword, only to see them regenerate, attempting to entangle me. Another green figure, using its power, caused the ground beneath my feet to sprout saplings. These saplings intertwined, binding my legs like a twist. Then, the green figure unleashed a green blade. At this moment, a radiant light shone from me, instantly covering all obstacles around me, illuminating the night forest and blinding the surroundings. All the attacks were blocked by the light, some extinguished, others falling to the ground. The light gradually faded, and the others could gradually see me within it. I had now escaped. One of them was pushed aside, and the others were unable to approach. What? That guy's tough? Is he a radiant form? Someone paused before the light and asked. Who knows? But this is our territory, don't be afraid, one of them said. At that moment, I noticed a number of people approaching from a distance. They were reinforcements, far outnumbering the 6 before me. The blade of my sword glowed, and under its white energy, I slashed, creating a barrier of white light around the 6 people in front of me, isolating them. The brilliance was so dazzling that it was difficult for the 6 to see directly. Let's leave here. They've called for reinforcements, I said to the 3 people accompanying me. They all agreed, nodded silently, and headed off in other directions. As the dazzling light faded, the 6 of us could no longer see the 4 men. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 190 Deep. For a moment, the 6 Green Alliance members searching for the 4 individuals in a clearing in the forest were nowhere to be seen. Unleashed by the light, we moved northwestward. The remaining Green Alliance members gradually arrived at the clearing. Knowing our target had left, they conferred and decided to locate them. Our route was relatively accessible, and we encountered no members of their deployment along the way. Our next goal was to uncover the hidden mystery, but until then, we must evade their pursuit. This incident posed a significant mystery, and our mission was to uncover the truth. With this in mind, we continued our journey through the woods, maintaining a distance from the enemy before resuming our usual path along the forest path. Teacher, things are getting complicated now. What should we do? Yu Fan asked as we were walking. It's 8 o'clock. If we can't find anything before 10 o'clock, we must find a way to leave here and find safety, I asked. Leave this forest, as long as we find safety, leaving or not is fine. Teacher, if we're at our wits' end, should we contact Executive Director Luo Lin? Yu Fan asked again. That's one possibility. In the past, when navigating a jungle like this, where monsters roam, our mission team rarely ventured deep into the jungle at night. Today is no different. This jungle is very dangerous. Be careful, I said. Hearing this, Pingman and the other three understood. The deeper they went into the forest, the more eerie the air became. This was enough to make them wary and cautious. Teacher, where are we heading now? Yuzayanan asked. You can feel that strange feeling. We're heading towards that energy concentration, I said. Is that so? Yuzayanan looked uneasy, an expression she had never shown before. It seems to me that the direction we're heading now leads to a place where more black auras converge. Whether this is the correct route remains uncertain. We continued on, becoming more cautious than ever. The surroundings seemed to be filled with hostile, unpleasant auras. Occasionally, we could sense the gazes of the jungle's inhabitants. Most of them were dormant at this time, but some were experiencing a state of confusion, and Warcraft was one of those types. As we continued on, we occasionally sensed the presence of people passing nearby. We must avoid contact with members of the Green Alliance. If we sensed any movement, we would simply stay as far away as possible. We still hadn't found the key point, but we were gradually becoming exhausted. It was time for us humans to slumber, but unfortunately, we didn't have that opportunity tonight. We continued on, and soon, not far ahead, there was a significant movement. The bushes swayed, and a dark figure emerged from the bushes. It was a quadrupedal creature, about the size of a lion, clad in pitch black. Its dim eyes glowed faintly red in the night. Wait, instructor, is that a demon beast? Yuzayanan asked. We all stopped in our tracks, one after another, at the sight of the black figure blocking our way. That's a demon beast. I think the New Century City's upper echelons called it that 6 months ago, I said. At that moment, the medium-sized demon beast, sensing the wind, approached us, steadily approaching us. It made a warning gesture, lowering its body and roaring, "This front is impassable," as if to say. But in reality, the demon beast wasn't as rational as its watchers. It immediately pounced on us. Its first target being me, standing at the front of the four. In that instant, I unleashed a burst of light, creating an unprecedented barrier, shutting out the monster it had greeted with its sharp teeth. The dark mist surrounding the demon beast gradually faded under the light, its form becoming increasingly unstable, like smoke swirling in the wind. Then, the demon beast gradually retreated, realizing it could not defeat the enemy. If it advanced, it would be annihilated, or it would retreat backwards, disappearing into the woods in an instant. Seeing this, Yuzayanan said, "Master, what is this? I didn't do anything, and that ferocious monster fled. I once worshipped a master in a certain dojo. She taught me a mantra so powerful it could replace most spells. Because of it, I now have the power to counter these dark, demonic beings." Really? That's amazing. You know everything about things we don't know. If you want to know, I can tell you, but only after this incident, I said. I'd love to hear it. Hearing this, Yuzayanan felt more motivated. Can you tell me too? Yufan said, his eyes lit up with interest. Me too, Pingman said. For the three of them, the incomprehensible, the things beyond their knowledge, sparked their curiosity. After this incident, focus on the present, I said. Then the three of them understood. This statement made them realize they were in a dangerous pit, so they calmed down and continued along their route. We advanced along the path leading to the black energy source, and after a while, we gradually reached it. Not far ahead, before the trees, there was a dark area shrouded in darkness, emitting a gloomy, sinister aura. It was clearly one of the gathering points of the black energy, as evidenced by the black creatures lingering around it. Some of the monsters had already noticed the presence. What a terrifying place. Is that a monster lair ahead? Yuzayanan asked. It looks like a monster stronghold. Let's go ahead and take a look, I asked. To the monster's lair, Yuzayanan asked. If we don't go to the monster's lair, we won't be able to confirm the situation or uncover the truth behind the change, Yufan said. Let's go. Arriving here, I've already stepped into the tiger's den, Pingman said. With that, I led the way, and we advanced towards the dark area ahead. As we entered that territory, the monsters all noticed our presence and began to approach. Based on our previous experience, the actions of the monsters were manipulated by someone above them. This time, I feel, it seems different. The monster's appearance could be the power of the Demon King, or perhaps something else. I can't rely on my previous experience as a benchmark. It seems a battle is inevitable, Yuzayanan said. That's right. We have to end it quickly, as we don't have much time to waste here, Yufan said. As they said, I thought so too. About 5 to 8 monsters attacked from various directions, most of them land-based, with 2 flying. We annihilated them all with our powerful attacks of azure light, fire, and water. The monsters were about the same strength as before, and we seemed able to handle them, not just me, but the other 3 as well. This would also reduce the danger of the mission. After the monsters were annihilated, we began searching the area, looking for key points. Any suspicious locations must be recorded and, if necessary, filmed. After a short search, we found nothing of significance. I think this place is even more puzzling than the previous one. Teacher, what should we do next? Yuzayanan said. There's still some time, let's continue looking, I said. Then we moved in another direction. In addition to this stronghold, there are other strongholds. There are many similar auras around. We must make choices and at least start searching from nearby. Chapter 191 Exploring. In the outer realm, at night, within the forest, we continued our search for clues to this unusual incident. Having already passed 2 strongholds, we've concluded that this incident is connected to Warcraft. While this report is sufficient, the truth remains unsolved. There are still other aspects of this incident that I'm puzzled about, and I'll investigate thoroughly tonight, at least. With this in mind, we continued on our way. Meanwhile, several individuals quietly approached from a distance. I noticed them within a certain radius, and I concluded they might be members of the Green Alliance, searching for us. We should avoid them. With this thought in mind, I was about to tell Pingman and the other 3 about this, but the sudden and rapid approach of these individuals made me think their location had been locked, and it might be too late to escape. Someone's approaching, I said. That's right. Should we leave? Yalfton replied. No, we were already a step too late. The other individuals quickly climbed over the trees and approached us. Immediately, 2 figures appeared before us. In the moonlight, one was a woman with long, wavy hair and a hat. The other, with red hair, was a familiar figure, Linton. You are, Yuzayanan asked. He knew one of them, but not the other. Are you here to track us down again? Yufan asked. No, we're not here to track you down this time. We're your colleagues, and we're here to assist you. This is the order of the executive director, Linton said. Really? Yes, the one who came with me is also a senior from the Holy Water Spirit Academy. Her name is Lin Qing, Linton said. The woman beside him nodded in agreement. It's great to have your assistance at a time like this. Do you know anything about the mutation? I said. Well, I know a little bit about the Warcraft, but compared to that, I have other information to tell you, Linton said. What is it? First of all, the details of the mutation in this area. The key point is the black aura. We call it pollution. We regard that aura as an extremely dangerous gas. Since the incident half a year ago, that aura has been studied by environmental agencies. People who over-intake that aura will have a state of emotional outburst, similar to rage, which will further induce human diseases. In the most serious case, people can be seen with the naked eye being eroded by the black aura and their bodies turning black, Linton said. Regarding those, the shining form is the only means of treatment at present. Apart from that, there's our secret intelligence. It seems that someone is artificially using that aura for experiments. The forest is currently in a state of complete blockade. This is also one of the reasons, although it is information that cannot be confirmed, Linton said again. Hearing this, Pingman and the other 3 were touched. What the young man said in front of them was indeed true. The experimenter was related to the elemental agency. Is that so? There are indeed outside interference, I said. My other companions, Feng Chun and the others, are investigating. We recently received intelligence that there's a special place near the edge of the outer realm, in the direction of that mountain. That's exactly where we urgently need to investigate, but there seem to be a lot of guards around, Linton said. Hearing this, I confirmed the location. Thanks to my long cultivation, I sensed something strange there. That's it. Where we're going next, want to go, Linton said. Let's go now, I nodded. It's still some distance from here, but I plan to take you to a safe place to spend the night before then, Linton said. Forget about tonight. We have things to do. It's late, and we don't know what will happen there, I said, looking at the 3 people. They accepted my words in silence. Really? Then let's go there together, Linton said. And with that, we set out on our journey again. Linton and Lin Qing led the way, and we followed. The special location was still several kilometers away, and we probably didn't have time to think about spending the night. This time, we followed Linton and the other two on our journey. Along the way, Linton attempted to contact his colleagues, using his cell phone to reach Feng Chun and the others on the other side. However, none of them were available. Strange, I can't reach anyone over there. Is the signal jammed? Linton asked. Hearing this, I said, similar things have happened before. Deep within the black aura, communication signals are blocked. Really? Well, there's nothing we can do. Let's keep going. I was planning to contact them to get a sense of the situation. Maybe they've been captured. That's a possibility. Proceed cautiously, Lin Qing said. So we continued on, climbing through the brush. After about half an hour, we arrived at a point in front of the high mountain in the outer realm. We were about 1.5 kilometers from our target. The surrounding area was still covered in dense forest, and the entire mountain, connected to this area, was covered in lush greenery. We hadn't been walking along this road for long when we sensed someone approaching nearby. According to Linton, there were many guards near this particular location, and it seemed we had encountered one. Someone's approaching, Lin Qing said. They're from the Green Alliance, right? I said. They probably are. We're in trouble now. Not only you, but we're all trespassing illegally. We must avoid them, Linton said. There's indeed something unusual ahead, a protective barrier we must pass through. With that, Linton took the lead and broke into a run in another direction. We followed. We could sense a group tracking us, perhaps using specialized equipment like sensors or night vision devices to locate us. If it were the former, we would have been spotted the moment we entered that area. What would they do then? As we ran, another group approached us from a distance ahead. A noise gradually rose from the distance, startling some animals. Are they double-teaming us? Linton, who had noticed the situation, couldn't help but ask. What's wrong? Aren't you going to keep running? I said. It would be easy if we could contact the other side, but now we can't, and we can't determine a safe zone. They might be everywhere, making escape very difficult, Linton suggested. Then, Linton, how about we split up and escape in two groups? Lin Qing suggested. In that case, isn't it? Linton hesitated. Separating ourselves would be dangerous, especially in this jungle at night with monsters lurking. Time is running out. We must decide quickly, should we cause a commotion here, or split up and distract them? Maybe one of us can reach the destination, Lin Qing said. As Linton hesitated, I said, let's split up. I think that's better, that's right. Rather than fighting here, we have to split up, Linton decided. In that case, I'll go with the three over there, and you with Captain Xingze, Lin Qing said. She stood beside Pingman and the other three, indicating that she and the three in front of her should leave to the left. Hearing this, I said to the three of them, are you okay? Hearing this, the three of them nodded in succession. Pingman said, it's okay, Mentor, there are four of us, really? Then it's decided. Let's go. After speaking, Linton and I began to leave quickly to the right, while the other four headed to the left. Chapter 192, Surprise Attacker. We split into two groups. Linton and I advanced along the right, aiming for a specific location nestled in the deep mountains on the other side. It was considered the most suspicious location, and not just Linton and the others. I also had a vague feeling that once we reached it, we'd understand something. For this reason, we split up to attract the attention of the Green Alliance members. I couldn't attend to the other three for a while, and Linton must have been worried. On the way, Linton said, now that we're here, let's get to the bottom of it. We must get there and get to the bottom of this, that's right. Let's hurry up. There's a lot of presents around here. We might be pursuers, I said. Linton nodded, and we picked up our pace, swiftly moving through the jungle. We were approaching our target, within about 1.2 kilometers. At this rate, we should soon be within the area of that special location. What happened? Linton's group of explorers hadn't been heard from. The Green Alliance members were fiercely defending that area, and there were some hidden secrets within them. Here, without understanding the situation, we were searching for answers. As we advanced, we could sense several men pursuing us, keeping a distance of about 30 to 50 meters. The darkness and the forest made it difficult to detect them. Our pursuers were experienced, their pace perfectly adapted to the forest. All we could do was to move faster to outrun them. At this point, it wasn't a question of whether we'd be caught or not, it was a matter of uncovering the truth. So we pressed on. Linton and I, fortunately, were both fast movers, gradually closing the gap. Our perception and speed were our advantages. After a while, we gradually pulled away from the pursuers, arriving within a kilometer of the designated location. We slowed down our pace, no longer able to sense the pursuers, and the surroundings were quiet. This slowed our pace, as we didn't know what lay ahead, so caution was the best course of action. After walking a short distance, Linton said, "Strange, we've slowed down. Those chasing us seem to have disappeared." As he said, I couldn't sense any presence resembling those of the Green Alliance members around me, so I replied, "Indeed, that's not a bad situation for us, that's true. After all, no one wants to be constantly pursued, let alone those of us with a clear purpose." But why was it so quiet? The pursuers were gone, but that wasn't likely. According to intelligence, they seemed to value this area very highly, especially that special spot, which was off limits to anyone. It could be that they were ordered not to approach that specific area, or perhaps they simply lost us. The latter was unlikely. A third possibility was that the danger ahead was so great that even the Green Alliance members wouldn't dare approach. In either case, we had no way out. We simply decided to persevere and uncover the truth. We continued at our usual pace. The woods were dark, so we moved cautiously. At this pace, we continued deeper into the jungle. After about 5 minutes, we noticed nothing unusual. This was strange. The pursuers had truly stopped approaching, even in this crucial area. Why was that? The black aura seems to be gathering in a specific area northwest of here, the special location Linton and the others pointed out. We're currently about 800 meters away. How strange. In that case, why don't we get to that special location as soon as possible? Perhaps the source of the problem lies nearby, Linton said. That's right, I said, and we both quickened our pace toward the special location. Near the edge of the deep mountains, the terrain was undulating, mostly covered by trees. We advanced a short distance, about 600 meters from the special location. A cold wind blew around us, and we couldn't help but sense something. Something nearby wasn't that special area. While this was related to our approach, the sensation we felt nearby was different. Something different from the black aura, sometimes hidden, sometimes exposed. Now it was exposed. A sharp sensation came from my side, cold, passionate, and fierce. A figure emerged from the trees to my left, a deep blue, a shadow of blue light, striking with lightning speed. Clad in dark blue clothing, they wielded a fluorescent dagger, charging at me. I swung back, the blade flashing by, but I dodged. I sensed its power the moment it made contact. Its force was as immense as a mountain, forged through thousands of years, beyond my comprehension. Suddenly, a radiant light emanated from my palm, and a black sword emerged. In that instant, my sword met the dagger, clashing with it. While no sparks flew, the clash of forces was palpable only to the two of us. Immediately, the opponent launched a kick from the lower leg, forcing me to buckle. My knee struck, and I buckled forward. It's hard to imagine a kick from a mere human being, capable of such divine power as to cleave a tree. In an instant, I felt my life hanging in the balance. The primordial spirit within me automatically intervened, erecting a sign barrier to block the incoming, fatal blow. Protected by the azure barrier, I escaped the fatal blow, but still, the divine power forced me back 3 feet. The pressure was overwhelming, and I showed no mercy. I transformed my sword into golden hue, elevating it to a new level, determined to challenge it. Our gazes locked, and in an instant, we engaged, sword and dagger clashing head-on. Though the figure before me was slender and lean, his power defied all appearance. While such a feat may occur in the world, it was a rare occurrence. He was beyond human, and I wondered what force sustained the actions and intentions of this man, whose gender was unknown. But the fighting spirit between us intensified, and we exchanged several blows with our weapons, each one meticulously linked. A single mistake would have resulted in defeat. Their power was equally matched. At full strength, I wouldn't be outmatched, but their agility was superior, leaping and moving back and forth like a fish in water. Under the powerful onslaught of successive slashes, I put some distance between us. "Who are you, and why are you targeting us?" I said. "I'm Xianayu. This may be a bad thing to say, but I'm telling you, I've been commissioned by someone to deal with this intruder," the person named Xianayu said. "Are you acting with the intention of eliminating the intruder?" "That depends on the situation," the person said. The subtle and threatening tone made it difficult to tell whether they were a man or a woman. A hat covered half of their face. At this moment, Linton, who had already sensed a sudden threat and seemed momentarily unsure what to do, recovered and said, "Is it an enemy, a truly formidable one?" As a member of the Green Alliance, Linton had seen a lot. And facing the aura of the deep blue before him, he instinctively felt a sense of danger. His instinct told him that this was someone he shouldn't approach, someone he should stay away from. "Then you will just surrender," Xianyu said. "That won't do." Instantly, the opponent attacked again, lightning fast, closing in on me. Linton sensed the situation was dire and knew he should stay away, so he pulled away. The attacker's deep blue aura was terrifying, looming and elusive, a presence that could only be detected with the slightest observation. The opponent's form seemed boundless in the void, moving freely left, right, up, down, and in all directions, constantly seeking an opening to finish me off. I had no breathing room at this point, my full attention focused on that figure, clashing my sword against his short blade. From the ground to the trees, then into the air, we fought relentlessly, never giving in, never letting our guard down. Blades flashed and flickered, and the duel lasted for a moment, a test of endurance. We clashed from air to ground, then separated upon landing. Now, we were both standing still. Indeed, it's powerful. If this continues, it looks like one of us will perish. We're all young, so let's just forget it, Xianyu said. He had already lowered his hand, his arrogance gradually waning. His voice was neutral, and beneath the cap, it was hard to tell whether he was male or female. A thin braid sat at the back of his head. "Really? That's better than anything else," I said, sheathing my sword. "I signed up for you, and I haven't done anything since. This is the first time." "What do you think?" Hearing this, I said, "I'm Xingze. Even if it doesn't mean much, I'm telling you. Is this okay? Goodbye then. It's dangerous to continue here. I'll pretend I didn't see it this time." With that, he waved lightly and departed from the other side of the woods. Chapter 193 The Road Ahead. After watching the man leave, Linton and I planned to continue deeper into the jungle. We were not far from that special spot. Even if, as the man had said, the danger ahead was dangerous, there was no reason to stop. "Let's go," I said. "That's right," Linton nodded in agreement, and we continued our journey deeper into the jungle. There was no way out. After all, this was already the decision when we split up. If we retreated, we wouldn't be able to take care of the 4 people on the other side. So, we had no choice but to move forward. Of course, by this point, we had also realized the dangers ahead, as the man we met earlier had mentioned. Even though I didn't believe there were many more powerful people ahead, the danger he had described was certainly not to be underestimated. We advanced until we were about 500 meters from the special spot, and then further, 200 meters from our target area. I could already sense an aura emanating from the surrounding area, similar to the black aura, but slightly different. I took out my phone to check, but it seemed to have no signal. It's somewhat similar to a past occurrence. The cell phone signal's gone. "This might be related to my companion's inability to contact me," Linton said. "Yes, a similar phenomenon has occurred before. We must be cautious ahead," I said. Linton nodded, confirming this information. The reason our companions couldn't be contacted was likely because they were all nearby. From our perspective, this place is extremely dangerous. Their whereabouts were naturally a cause for concern. We continued forward, passing through patches of dark trees ahead. It was already dusk, and the surroundings felt chilly. We all kept a close eye on our surroundings as we advanced. About 100 meters from the specific location, the aura around us intensified. I could already sense the presence of a demonic beast. The danger ahead was immense. However, not far away, I could also detect a human presence. I noticed this, and I was heading in that direction. It was a faint aura. "There's someone up ahead, be careful," I said. Linton nodded and followed me forward. When we reached a point where we could see people, he spotted a young man lying nearby. He was wearing a green uniform and a medal on his arm. He was one of his companions. Seeing the man, dying beside a tree, I trotted over. When I reached him, I bent down and asked, "Are you alright, Luo Yuan?" He spoke weakly. "Is that you?" "We were attacked." "Are we attacked by monsters?" "No, there are monsters like monsters here, but we weren't attacked by them." "Were we attacked by another invader? Who were they?" "Were they from the Green Alliance?" Linton asked. I don't know, probably not. The attacking group numbered 4 or 5, all dressed in black or dark blue. I was attacked by someone in dark blue. Instantly, he was most likely referring to Xianyu. There were 3 or 4 other people besides him. So, where are the others? Linton asked. Look ahead, not far away. That's where we engaged them. Luo Yuan slowly pointed a finger a short distance ahead. Seeing this, we all looked over. There was a forest, several trees tilted or fallen from the impact. Farther ahead, there was something else. Linton lifted the man and led him and me toward it. Beyond that, on a patch of land ahead, lay the wreckage of several mechas. These mechas had been rendered inoperable for various reasons. Some had their cores destroyed. Others had sustained multiple damage from the heavy blows, and still others had limbs shattered. See? This is their masterpiece. These are incomprehensible monstrosities, Luo Yuan whispered. What happened to the others? I asked. I escaped the pod when I was killed. I don't know about the others either. I was unconscious for a while. Luo Yuan hesitated. Really? We can only search around here. They're probably nearby, Linton said. He took out his goggles and, using the perspective of the mecha in the goggles, controlled a mecha to move towards the area. This wasn't just a human search, the lives of third parties and others were at stake. As the executive director mentioned, there was a third party, and this could very well involve someone within the Green Alliance, a traitor or a spy. Following the path ahead of the land, we could identify the direction the others had gone by through unnatural traces. This led to a specific location, and as we searched, we gradually approached that area. About 30 meters past, we detected a trace of blood using our flashlights. It was most likely from the wounded in battle, so there was a high probability that someone was nearby. Bloodstains, not just here, but also ahead, I said. Linton nodded, continuing to carry one of the wounded men, and we moved forward together. Bloodstains were faintly visible along the trees ahead, and these clues led us closer to the special area. After walking about 50 meters, we came to a dense patch of trees. Not far away, we saw a human arm. Judging by the green bandages wrapped around it, it must be from the Green Alliance. I then observed the broken arm. The wound was relatively smooth. It didn't look like it was torn by a wild beast, but it was cut off. Linton seemed a little surprised and said, It's our companion, Linton, don't panic. First, call a machine that can carry multiple people. There are traces of blood ahead, I said. There were bloodstains on the other side of the broken arm, and we continued to move forward in the direction of the faint traces of blood. After walking for a distance, we saw a figure lying on the ground. The man's arm was broken, his face was pale, and his breath was very weak. When we approached, the man stopped moving in a gust of wind. Seeing this, Linton and Luo Yuan beside him were obviously panicked. They walked over one after another, bent down and looked at the man in front of them and said, He is also one of us, really. He seems to have left, I said. Just a moment ago, the man's breath disappeared, like an extinguished candle. What was in front of me was his body that was gradually getting cold under the cold wind. It can be imagined that the cause of his death was excessive blood loss, and there was no signal here. What's going on? What happened to Feng Chun and his group? Linton asked, puzzled. Is the Feng Chun you're talking about also one of these people? I said, yes, in that case, we should go look for him. Perhaps he's still alive. The situation was indeed urgent. I now, cultivating samadhi and observing my surroundings extensively, sensed a presence not far away and said, the person you're talking about might be not far to the south. Really? Yes, let's go. We headed south, now slightly to our right. After walking a distance, we saw another figure not far ahead. Shining our flashlights, we saw a man lying under a tree. It was the man I'd seen before. The one who had been working with Linton not long ago. We approached him one after another, and Linton asked, are you alright, Feng Chun? Luckily, I managed to escape from the terrifying attackers along the way, Feng Chun replied. Although he looked a bit disheveled, he didn't seem seriously injured. Let's not even talk about the mission right now, we're already exhausted just trying to escape, Luo Yuan said. He was also one of the victims, and he felt the pain of the incident first. You're right. What you've done is enough. The next transport unit has arrived. You should return to headquarters, I said. Hearing this, everyone pondered, and they all knew that this was indeed a good option. Chapter 194 The Targeted Person. A moment later, The mech piloted by Linton arrived at the woods and landed in a clearing. From the sound, we all knew it was nearby. My mech has arrived. What should we do next? Linton said. Too wounded. My suggestion is that you return to headquarters first, I said. Hearing this, Luo Yuan and Feng Chun were silent. They agreed with a point, but remained hesitant. Given the current situation, it's very dangerous for any investigators to enter here. Leaving like this, Feng Chun said. That's right. There are still wounded nearby. Perhaps I can still move on, Luo Yuan said. You're clearly no longer capable of fighting. You should return, but I still have things to do, Linton said. Hearing this, the two men realized that, as Linton had said, not only would their physical injuries, but also their mental trauma, require time to recover. Linton, you are responsible for sending those two people back to the headquarters. There is important intelligence to report now. Let me do the rest, whether it is the injured or your teammates, I said. Hearing this, Linton pondered silently, and looked at the two people in front of him. It is true that the Mecha is Linton's exclusive machine. It may not be easy for others to drive it, let alone two injured people. In addition, to continue the expedition, Linton also understands the danger, and is very clear about his own abilities and how much he plays a role. After a brief thought, Linton said, I understand. I'll escort the two men and the other man's remains back to headquarters. Xingze, I'll leave the rest to you for now. I'm also leaving my sister in your care, I understand. Your sister is with several of my juniors, and they're not to be underestimated. Let's all do what we can, I said. Hearing this, Linton nodded, realizing the urgency of the situation, and turned back toward the machine. Luo Yuan and Feng Chun followed, arm in arm, supporting each other. On the way, Feng Chun said to me, let's all pray for good luck. May the guardian of the forest protect us. With that, we parted ways in the outer realm, somewhere near the mountainous forest, a special zone forbidden to Green Alliance members. Two figures were heading deeper into the area. One wore a black hat and a black windbreaker, the other had short hair and a burly figure. A moment later, the man in the trench coat's communicator rang, and he pulled it from his pocket to answer. There are invaders from the west. What should we do? A calm, presumably female, voice on the other end asked. How many? Appears to be 4. Judging from their direction, they're likely approaching your area. Take care of them. Well, I'm saying that to determine friend or foe. 3 of them appear to be your subordinates. The man in the trench coat understood who the 3 men might be and said, then take care of one first. He then ended the call. What's wrong? Why are you laughing? The short-haired man beside him said, nothing. It's almost time. Let's go retrieve that. As they spoke, they moved forward. Not far ahead, there were several pits, the ground sinking. Deep within them lay something they were meant to retrieve. It was the experimental subject and the data collection chip. Hiraman and the others, who had been assigned the same task, understood their mission. Their mission was to assist the organization in completing this task. According to their superiors, they had to ensure the safety of the 2 items or retrieve them themselves. Now was the time to approach the mission site. It's surprisingly quiet around here. Surely it's because we've reached this point, Lin Qing said. You're right. This is a dangerous area, even the Green Alliance members don't dare enter, Yu Xiaonan said. We must be cautious. There might be someone extremely dangerous out there, Yu Fang said. The 4 continued deeper into the woods. They were already in the area known as a special place, and the surroundings felt even more eerie, adding to the cold. They hadn't forgotten their original purpose, an investigation mission. Later, they had received a different one, a conflicting one. Perhaps they had to choose between the 2, but until then, they were fully aware of the danger they were in. At this point, the 3 hadn't made a clear decision about what to do, or what was the right choice. Was the right choice one of these 2? With Lin Qing at the head, the 4 continued forward, their exploration mission still the primary focus. As they advanced, another figure, already nearby, was watching them closely. The man, dressed in black, perfectly suited the night. His sniper rifle was already trained on one of their number, a woman. He immediately pulled the trigger, and in that instant, all 3 GR members sensed something. Hiramano, the most perceptive of all, noticed the direction of the threat and pushed Lin Qing, the one walking in front, to the side. The powerful bullet whizzed past Lin Qing's shoulder. Though it didn't hit her directly, the force of the bullet knocked her off balance, forcing her to fall. Hiramano then supported her. What happened? Lin Qing sighed, her consciousness hazy from the impact of the bullet. Even though it was just a passing encounter, it was clear that the opponent and the bullet's power were not ordinary. At this moment, Pingman helped Lin Qing to his feet and said, "We're being targeted, sniper. At a time like this, let's run. This is a forest, there are too many hiding places," Yufan said. Immediately, the four of them began to move away from their route, weaving into the nearby trees and thickets. They all knew where the bullet had just been fired, and to the right and front of them, they tried to determine the enemy's location. Elsewhere, the sniper was at the edge of a bush, moving slowly. Her vision was vast, and her marksmanship was so refined that she could not only hit the target with every shot, but also anywhere. "Can we escape?" The sniper's sights were clear. In an instant, she pulled the trigger, and with a loud bang, a fiery red bullet blazed directly towards them, aiming for a bush about 400 meters away, sheltered by several large trees. The bullet, exceeding the speed of sound, pierced through the bark of one or two large trees, hurtling towards the girl, Lin Qing. Instantly, Pingmeng sensed something was amiss and used his power to deploy a defensive barrier. A gray, nearly transparent barrier materialized, blocking the girl. "Be careful," Pingmeng said. He then stepped forward to block the bullet, which impacted the barrier, creating invisible waves that shook the air slightly. The bullet's power was immense. Pingmeng tried his best to block it in the moment of crisis, but he couldn't stop the bullet's trajectory, even though he was right next to Lin Qing, shielding her from the impact. The next moment, he fell backward as the bullet streaked over him and pierced the rock behind him. The other two men now looked toward the bullet's trajectory. It should have been a blind spot, but it had still hit them, indicating that the other party had a view of what was happening. "Wait, what's going on? Is he a person with special abilities?" Yuzayanan whispered. "That's the correct way to think about it. That bullet isn't ordinary," Yufan whispered back. "What should we do?" Yuzayanan said. At this moment, Pingman once again stood up, carrying the girl Lin Qing. The two men might not have noticed, but the sniper seemed to be aiming at the girl Lin Qing for some reason. Pingman had a vague idea of the sniper's identity. That person is probably from the organization. Chapter 195 Sniper. Being targeted by someone, they felt like prey, their location unrecognizable. "Someone in the organization? I have no impression," Yufan and Yuzayanan said in quick succession, both perplexed. It was true that the person was someone they had never met before, or rather, someone they had never seen in person. Perhaps they had met once, but their abilities were unknown. "The question is, what should we do?" "Engage them," Yuzayanan asked. "Engage them? We're roughly within range of them now, but should be out of range. Their abilities are probably limited to a range of around 600 to 800 meters, according to my estimate, too far." As he spoke, a third bullet pierced the air, slicing through two obstructing trees before striking the young woman, Lin Qing. Instantly, Pingman opened its defensive wall once again to block the incoming attack. The bullet was powerful, and Pingman's defenses were no match for it. However, its defensive wall provided a buffer. Pingman supported Lin Qing as she dodged the bullet, allowing her to slide sideways. The bullet slid past the edge of the shield and into the other side. "The target is Lin Qing. Keep your distance and run," Pingman said. He carried the girl on his back and headed deeper into the woods on the other side. Yuzayanan and Yufan followed. By this point, Lin Qing was dazed, unable to move independently. One of her arms was red and bloody. "I understand. Since we're targeting that girl, I'll provide cover," Yufan said. "I'll come too," Yuzayanan said. As they ran, they were already in a state of alert, ready to activate their abilities at any moment, their bodies emitting a faint glow. A brief pause, a fourth bullet lashed out. Its flames heated the air as it passed through, and the rapid friction made it resemble a meteor. Yufan noticed it, his eyes flashing red. A red core materialized above Pingman's body, forming a barrier to block the incoming attack. Instantly, the red core exploded. Despite the impact of the barrier, the bullet remained stable, piercing straight through the delicate spot on the boy's back, ensuring it would not kill the boy but still strike the girl. As the bullets neared a defensive wall behind Herman, the blade of water slashed through, severing them midair. Finally, a long-range attack was stopped. From the perspective of the female sniper, 600 meters away, this was truly amusing. She noticed that the four opposing snipers seemed to understand the primary target, the woman, and had all moved away to provide cover. "Interesting, Gr, that's Herman's team," Let's get serious about this. They were serious about taking someone down, about playing. While the definition of playing was a bit vague, it was probably something like this. The woman's name was Shara. She was extremely low-key and kept a low profile within the organization, rarely displaying her abilities. Yet, her abilities far surpassed those of most within the organization. Her power was known as the strongest spear, though its power was uncertain. Just a single point of penetration was unmatched. She possessed a penetrating power of water, the explosive force of fire, and was a master of the elements. Using her specialized sniper rifle, she could unleash a variety of attacks. Suddenly, a strange light gathered within the gun. Sheila, perched atop a large tree, aimed her sight from above. Though obscured by numerous branches and foliage, she could still sense the running figure about 680 meters to the southwest. Her extraordinary sensory abilities, encompassing not only her eyes but also her ears, seemed to transcend normal human perception. She could even see the running figure without even needing to consciously use them. With a flick of the trigger, the gun unleashed a burst of cyan red light, hurtling towards its target. A fifth powerful bullet pierced the air, piercing through the branches and heading in the direction of the figure. For a moment, Pingman and the others sensed the target, including the girl behind Pingman. This time, Yuzayan and Yufan also understood and, with a double barrier of water and fire, moved in to block Pingman's path. The bullet and its barrier collided, instantly penetrating the core fire barrier once more and then the dense water barrier, creating a shockwave that exploded. The bullet remained unaffected, continuing its trajectory towards its target. Pingman, however, shifted position in that brief moment, allowing the bullet to zip past him, effectively dodging the next round. As he thought this, the bullet struck the ground behind him at an angle, exploding in a volley of flames. Pingman and the young woman behind her were thrown back, tumbling to the ground. Two others were also affected, but fortunately, being far from the blast point, they were only harmed by the aftermath. Explosion. This was exactly what Xiaonan and Yaofan had witnessed. Right before their eyes, a sea of flames erupted, ablaze by the blast's impact. Pingman and Lin Qing, lying on the ground beside the blast, had only sustained minor scratches thanks to their timely defense. "Are you all right?" Yaofan asked. The suddenness of the situation forced them to prioritize their attention, focusing on the two people in front of them. The snipers, about 700 meters away, were watching the scene unfold before them. The previous strike had, as expected, thrown them off their rhythm and into a state of panic. Their next target had also been vulnerable, and the two nearby were remarkably careless, even facing the gun's point of fire. In reality, the priority was to eliminate the woman, but Hiramano noticed that and deliberately blocked his aim, using himself as a shield. Perhaps sensing that his opponent might not be aiming for him, he acted deliberately. Furthermore, for Shara, eliminating the remaining three besides Hiramano was no problem. Next, it's time for the final blow. What should I do, Hiramano? With 2 bullets left to kill one of them, the young Hiramano would surely make a move, presenting their opportunity. Yufan and Yuzayan aimed left and right, deciding which direction to target. They should start with a blue-haired Yuzayan. Hitting her with unwavering accuracy would guarantee the best chance of success. Just as they were aiming, a dark figure suddenly appeared in Shara's sights, throwing her off balance. What was that? Puzzled, she pulled the trigger, shooting down the dark figure. Lowering the gun from her sight, Sheila watched as a black monster slowly descended. It was a flying monster, its black aura gradually dissipating. That startled me. Was it a monster? When she paid attention to the other side's movements again, the 4 had already fled further away. 700 meters and 35 meters, 700 meters and 65 meters, and then beyond 800 meters. Beyond that, it was difficult to lock onto them, given the poor visibility. Is this Harriman's victory? Never mind, let's call it a day. Call it quits, Sheila muttered to herself, retracting her gun, leaping down from the tree, and stepping into the bushes. Chapter 196 Heading to the source. Running, Pingman and the others gradually distanced themselves from the sniper, like prey caught in a target, constantly anxious about the hunter's next move. One thing led to another, and there were other decisions to make. It's been a while since we heard gunfire. Let's get out of that person's range, Yuzayan said. That's right. The question is, what should we do next, Pingman said. With someone who was likely the first target on their backs, the 3 faced a choice that was probably unavoidable. From the map, It seems we've unknowingly come very close to that location, Xingze said. The mission's execution location. First of all, what should we do with this girl? Pingman asked. After hearing this, the two of them thought for a while, and Xingze said, send her to a safe place. She was involved, and we should ensure her safety. That's right, Xingze said, but the question is, where is the safe place? Xingze said, the machine. It was Senior Xingze who parked the machine sent us at the border. It's just the right time to call that machine over, Xingze said. I see. This is indeed a good idea. Let's call that machine over quickly, Xingze said. After speaking, Pingman took out the control device of the machine and said, actually, I thought about it before, but this is outside the circle and we can't respond to that machine. Really? It's really troublesome. There are a lot of magical beasts nearby, and we can't leave her in one place, but if we take her away, there is a high possibility that we will encounter more dangerous things, Xingze said. That's right. There is no way to communicate at this time, Xingze said. It was like being locked up in a huge black prison. At this moment, another voice beside the three of them said, wait, I heard everything you were saying. You seem to be hiding something from me, aren't you? And you're making me out to be a burden. Lin Qing, who was now standing beside Pingman, surprised the three. She now stood firmly before them and said, it's just a scratch. I'm not out of this situation. I must thank you for saving my life, but this isn't over yet. You seem to have different goals than us, but you're all on the same side of me, right? The three nodded. Xingze said, that's right. We don't mean to harm you. We're all in danger. You being able to stand up is a huge help. Xingze smiled in response, a smile that Lin Qing found difficult to accept. How about we discuss our next course of action? We still have to continue this journey. Well, as you said, let me tell you our goal and what the situation is, Xingze said. She then summarized the situation facing Lin Qing and the other two with a few simple words, conveying their options. Is that so? You're in trouble too. According to the enemies you mentioned, Xingze and my brother's group might also be in danger. In that case, we need to find a way quickly to reach the depths there and confirm the situation, Lin Qing said. Wait, that's very dangerous. There might be enemies we can't handle, Xingze said. Then it should be safer for you than for me. Hearing this, the three of them understood. They were all part of that group, so as long as they didn't do anything against their will, their lives would be safe. I know you chose the best one, not the real villains, so I have a suggestion. Use me and go deeper together, Lin Qing said. Lin Qing was surprisingly compatible. And the three of them began to prepare for further action. The Outer Realm, a location designated as a special area. I was currently advancing deeper into it. Mist filled the air, and I was already approaching the mountains. Many magical beasts were roaming around, making it a dangerous area. I tried to choose a path that would avoid them. I was still some distance away from the energy source. Occasionally, black pits could be seen nearby, resembling collapsed land. A vast mass of black energy also gathered within. Suddenly, a pitch-black, half-humanoid monster, approximately 2 meters tall, leaped from a dark pit not far in front of me. Its massive build, blade-like limbs, and a fierce expression on its face made it clear it was not to be trifled with. The monster, emerging from the pit, was already brimming with black energy. Its presence was not surprising. Instantly, the monster attacked me, pouncing with its sharp claws, attempting to knock me over. At that moment, a flash of white light emanated from my body. When this light contacted the half-humanoid, its black form felt as if it were struck by an electric current, rubbing against it and sending countless particles of light flying. The force then pushed it back. Illuminated by the white light, the half-humanoid fell to the ground, its body partially mutilated by the illumination. The damage gradually widened, and after a moment, it dissipated into black mist. The radiant form can counter this demonic beast, but the power I've learned can also counter demonic beasts. It was learned at the Fengai Dojo, passed down from the pure moon. I walked toward the pit, observing the scene within. It was pitch black. Looking carefully around the pit, I saw small creatures moving around the edge, ants and other insects. The creatures emerging from the hole were stained with a layer of black, and I could sense a sense of dissonance within them, as if they had been baptized and transformed. A crustacean crawled out from the side of the pit. Its appearance didn't seem like the insects that normally inhabited this area. Its body was covered in a black silver shell of unusual hardness, likely made of metal, with V-shaped spikes on the outside. I caught the insect in my hand and, using my purifying power, removed the ominous aura from it. A radiant light shone, and black smoke billowed from the beetle's body. Then, piece by piece, its special armor peeled off. It was indeed the result of the black mist's influence and its subsequent interaction with the metal. I immediately released the beetle, and it flew off. Ahead, there seemed to be pits at every distance, gathering black energy. Farthest ahead, there lay a source of energy. I'd probably understand something once I got there. Thinking this, I quickened my pace. After advancing a distance, about 500 meters from the source, I sensed the presence of 2 or 3 others. Perhaps they had sensed something. As the attacker had said, this was dangerous ahead, and the people ahead were likely extremely powerful. However, at this point, I had no way to retreat. This was a natural outcome. Continuing forward, I passed through a thicket of trees. Not far ahead, a figure waited directly in front of me. It was the one of the 2 or 3 who had chosen to stop. It might be waiting for me, just ahead, on the forest path. I walked up to the man. In the moonlight, I could clearly see his features. He was a sturdy man, wearing a dark coat and short hair. A glance at each other revealed something. The other said, "Boy, exploring the forest so late at night isn't a good idea, I know." "Same here, how could you know?" "If you really knew, you should have gone that way," the short-haired man said. He pointed to the direction I'd come from, indicating that I should return the way I came. "You, if you really knew, shouldn't have stood here any longer." Both of us understood that the conversation was over. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 197 Encounter. In a special area, at the front of the forest path, a figure stood, silently radiating an energy field. "I'm here to eliminate the obstacle. I can't leave until the obstacle is dealt with," the person said. "I'm the obstacle. What kind of obstacle does my presence pose to you? I know you have a dark secret. It's connected to those monsters, right?" I said. "That's not necessary for you. If you don't want to leave peacefully, be prepared." As we spoke, our eyes met. I wanted to pass through that place, and to do so, I had to find a way to deal with the person in front of me. The situation was no longer one that could be resolved through dialogue. In an instant, the person's figure radiated different energy currents, and a dark purple figure emerged from the ground, approaching me at an extremely fast speed, attacking with a punch. I didn't move, the azure light shield surrounding me blocking the incoming punch. The force was so immense that the air around them vibrated. "Original spirit, you're truly capable of blocking it. You're no ordinary creature," the other party declared. Instantly, the dark purple figure moved away from me, coming to the side. Its leg, condensing into a radiant glow, swept forward. It collided with my azure shield once again, this time even more powerful than before. I caught the dark purple figure's kick with my hand. My other hand transformed into a sword, instantly striking back with its azure slash. The sword flashed, a cyan slash streaking like a half-moon towards the dark purple figure. The other party didn't dodge, meeting it with both hands and torso. The impact of the slash sent them flying back several meters. Meanwhile, the other person, already closing in on me in a flash, struck with a punch, which I caught with one hand. The punch was powerful, but not as potent as the one from just a moment ago. I swung my sword with my other hand. The opponent didn't dodge, but used one to defend, colliding with my sword. His arm was covered in a hard shield, so my sword didn't get hurt even when it collided with his arm. Is the ground solid? Not just that, the opponent blocked my sword with one arm. Then, layers of rock and rubble rose from the ground, like waves converging towards me. Seeing this, I didn't dodge, once again opening my shield to face the multifaceted attack of rock, rubble, and sand, remaining motionless. The multi-directional attack continued, but beneath the barrier, I remained unscathed. The dark purple figure vanished, leaving only the man's silhouette before me. He punched, emitting a faint glow, a special energy gathering within his fist. He instantly struck me, a white tiger enveloping his fist, striking fiercely against my cyan shield. The blow, like a tiger's pounce, sent me reeling back several meters. That move, have you seen it? The tiger combo. With that blow, countless pieces of rubble rushed towards me like the shadow of a tiger. I've certainly felt that power before. It was at a Mecha tournament years ago, a man using a technique. It's Shiyuan, that's my brother, really, I think I lost to you before. I'll take care of you, this time. The other man's presence radiated a powerful aura, completely different from before, perhaps a sign of serious action. He stomped his foot on the ground, sending countless rubble flying. Attacking me from multiple directions, I instantly soared into the air. Using the power of the cyan red cloud to pass through the gaps between the rubble, heading straight for the man. Approaching him at breakneck speed, I met his attack with a fist, but he dodged it. Turning around, I threw another punch, which I blocked, then delivered a powerful blow to his abdomen. No effect, he charged forward with his head, colliding with my forehead. Because he towered over me, the blow was from top to bottom, and it felt like being struck by a sledgehammer. You're a wielder of both the elements and the primordial spirits, right? I said. Indeed, his conviction was strong, but it couldn't confirm my claim. He was connected to the elements, which meant he was connected to that organization. This incident was related to the elemental organization. I see. He extended a hand, and rock surged from the ground around me, its density different than before, enveloping me. From all sides, it was like a solid iron cage, completely enveloping me. Final blow, the man clasped his hands together, and the rock cage suddenly shrank inward, converging into a twisted sphere. A dark purple figure then emerged from the ground, raised the twisted sphere high, flung it into the air, and then dropped it, landing in front of the man. The twisted sphere gradually disintegrated, revealing only sand and gravel within, no sign of a human. This moment left him puzzled. But in reality, I had already left, slipping away from a blind spot where he hadn't noticed. He was responsible for stalling time. I understood, so I should move forward. Harriman and the others approached the special location from the other side of the forest. As they continued on, it was already late at night. As they entered the depths of the area, the fog thickened. Black pits could be seen frequently, and black monsters occasionally emerged from them. This was an extremely dangerous area, and they had to be wary of those inexplicable depressions. The surrounding land was in poor condition. The four men, braving the dangers of the terrain, trekked ever closer to the center of their target area, nearing the edge of a clearing in the jungle. Several people were milling around nearby. Apparently, because they had reached a critical area, the people ahead were likely guards from the elemental agency. Judging by their numbers, the other group seemed to be just ordinary guards. Several of the guards spotted several figures on the other side of the woods, all staring in that direction. 3 people stepped forward and asked, "Who are you?" Hearing this, Pingman stepped forward and said, "You're from L, right?" "We're allies." Hearing the young man's words, the guards exchanged glances, and one of them added, "That's strange. The organization doesn't have any extra support. You're pretending to be one of us, trying to get in. That's not true. Look, we're indeed temporarily ordered to join this mission by the higher-ups. There are intruders nearby, and we're here to assist in the mission," Yufan said, displaying the organization's internal door certification logo. "Wow, it seems to be true. GR has heard of it. I've seen it in the roster. It's you 3. But who is that person?" "You should be the 3 of you," the guard continued, pointing to the other girl, Lin Qing, who was the only one besides Pingman, Yuzayanan, and Yufan. She had a mask covering her mouth, and her hands were bound with ropes. Yuzayanan used the power of water transformation to create a rope around the object, gently lifting it. "You see, she's the one who knows the key to this mission. With her, we'll be able to complete it better, so we must take her to the execution site." The guards fell silent. After a moment's deliberation, they decided to allow the 3 to pass. After all, they were members of the organization and masters of the elements. With the guards' approval, the 4 of them successfully passed through the defensive line in front of the execution site. Chapter 198. Moving forward. Passing through the wilderness, they were out of sight of the guards. The next step was the execution site. Speaking of the execution site, they were bound to encounter the most dangerous individuals. While uncertain, it was best to be prepared. The agreed time was midnight, and now it was 11:35 p.m. Pingman, Yufan, Yuzayanan, and their helpers were heading towards that location. "We managed to get away with it. My involvement wasn't in vain," Lin Qing said, once out of sight of the guards. "It's too early to celebrate now. We might be heading towards a crucial turning point in our lives," Yuzayanan said. "I understand. I'm aware of this. I was already aware of it when I came in with you. Otherwise, I wouldn't have cooperated with you, really? Human thought is often incomprehensible, Yufan said. The four continued on their journey. Uncertainties abounded, but there was no need to dwell on them now. They believed that understanding would eventually come. They all advanced towards a cave deep within the mountains. Continuing on through a rugged stretch of terrain, Pingman and the others gradually entered a forested path nestled low in the mountains. Their target location was characterized by a small cave. Lin Qing, familiar with the local terrain, explained that there were quite a few caves in the area. Many of these caves connected to each other, creating a vast underground world. Therefore, choosing a route could potentially avoid encounters with the enemy. Lin Qing, as a knowledgeable guide, could serve as a guide. The cave entrance was visible not far away. Right there, Lin Qing said, gazing at the nearby entrance. Upon hearing this, the three of them saw it, but could see no signs of anyone nearby. It seems there aren't many people around, but we better proceed with caution, Yuzayanan said. As they conversed, the four of them slowly approached the cave. After confirming that no one was around, they looked around and then entered the pitch-black cavern. It's so dark, I'd better turn on my flashlight, Lin Qing said, taking out his flashlight and flicking it on to illuminate the path ahead. While this increased the risk somewhat, there was nothing they could do. The four of them advanced cautiously through the cavern. Even within the cavern, a black aura occasionally lingered, hinting at something within. Therefore, they pressed on. After a short distance, they passed through a straight passageway. A bend turned right ahead, revealing a wider space. Surrounded by various ancient rocks, a number of inverted cones could be seen on the roof. It felt like a mysterious space. It's a dark and mysterious place, Yuzayanan remarked. Well, this area isn't often visited. It's a vast, maze-like area, and quite dangerous, Lin Qing remarked. Finding the mission object and the test subject within this maze is indeed challenging. Their intentions are hard to fathom, Yufan remarked. The question was, did the organization truly consider this place a testing ground? The problem was, it was a location that was inconvenient for them. Why would they choose this place if there wasn't a specific reason? Warcraft, and within this deep cave, Warcraft had a similar center in the past. This might be a similar location. I've considered this in the data, Lin Qing said. Is that so? It seems we can't get the answer until we reach the center. Now, another crucial factor is needed to clarify the issue. Why exactly are the people in the organization conducting this experiment? What is the purpose of the experiment? The four continued to advance, guided by flashlights. The deeper they went, the stronger the aura became. They could gradually sense the sounds of monsters. Footsteps, a subtle sound, echoed as the four advanced, and then appeared before their eyes. Several dark figures, some half-human, some with wings on their forelegs, and some resembling bears and lions, appeared. Warcraft, finally, we've encountered it. After all, the aura here is so strong, Yufan said. The four knew that Warcraft was roaming within this cave. At this moment, a black-winged monster flew towards them, its eyes dark red as it approached. Yufan's hands shone red, and his eyes, following the glow, turned crimson. A red core emerged from the flames and appeared before the four, colliding with the other flying monsters. The monsters collided with the red core, their forms rapidly deforming from the intense heat, like melting icebergs or smoke. They fell to the ground, tumbling around to relieve the burning pain. Finally, they dissipated into black smoke, leaving behind their remains. Following suit, the other two monsters quickly fell before the water and fire elements. You guys were really good, Lin Qing said. Not bad, Yuzayanan replied casually. The black mist surrounding the monsters dissipated, revealing gravel and other minerals. The remains of the demon beasts are these rubbles. They've been changing rapidly, and they look similar to the 5 elements, Pingman said. That's perfectly normal. According to our researchers, everything is elemental, right? And the remains are also divided into 4 categories, Yuzayanan replied. No, that's just a theory from above, Yufan said. Although she was an elemental messenger, she didn't have absolute trust in the people above her. Yes, that's just a definition. Just like the creature before us is called a demon beast, why did it appear and linger here? We don't understand, Pingman said. With these words, the 4 continued forward, following the path blocked by the demon beasts. There were deeper and more extensive paths within, which they needed to explore. They could sense an increasingly strong aura around them, indirectly believing they were heading in the right direction. They continued forward, passing through deep passages and overcoming another dangerous road, avoiding the demon beast sight. They continued their perilous journey until 11:55 p.m. The four of them drove away several magical beasts blocking the entrance to a certain cave, and walked towards the place where the magical beasts were roaming and watching. The suspicious thing was that there was a different aura released from the cave entrance than before. It was subtly different, but one of the four people could feel the difference. Led by Lin Qing, the four of them approached the cave entrance one after another. When they stepped into the cave, they looked inside and could see something in front of them. Not far ahead, there was a pile of materials like a small hill. The pile was shining with a variety of colors, such as dark red, black and blue, illuminating the surroundings of the cave. It was still possible to confirm it from a distance, and the four of them could not help but approach it with cautious steps. It's very likely that's it. Chapter 199 Target. The four of them stepped slowly into the cave entrance. Not far ahead lay a small mountain of minerals, crystals, glass, amber, jade, and other materials. The mass of material shone with a vibrant glow of varying colors, sometimes red, sometimes deep blue, sometimes white. Unlike a lamp, this light shone with a subtle quality that permeated everyone present. A constant creaking sound echoed as the light shone, as if something were about to be born. Beyond the aura of the treasure mountain, a dark aura swirled. As if driven by this aura, several dog-like creatures, larger than a hand, appeared in a pile of scrap metal outside the treasure mountain and began to move around. Pingman and the others had seen these dog-like creatures before. They were composed entirely of scrap metal parts, possessed an aggressive nature, and were similar to, or perhaps a different kind of, warcraft. Those creatures, Lin Qing said. Monsters, I've seen them before. Be careful. From what I remember, you'll get bit if you reach out your hand, Yu Fan said. That's not the problem. Look at what they're doing right now, Yu Xiaonan said. At that moment, the puppy-shaped monsters, numbering over 10, were circling the treasure mountain, circling it clockwise, momentarily paying no attention to the four people present. Is that some kind of dance? Like a brazier dance? Lin Qing asked. I think it's more like an omen, Pingman commented. Regardless, what they said was somewhat similar. A sign of impending arrival, a sign of the arrival, a sign before and after the arrival. The puppy-shaped monsters circled, their multicolored lights blazing brighter. Suddenly, a light emanated from the top of the treasure mountain. Like a pillar of light, it surged upwards, piercing through the black rock above. Like a volcanic eruption, it released a cascade of minerals of varying colors, including gold, silver, and glass. Is that some kind of treasure? Lin Qing asked. For a moment, the scene before him suggested the discovery of treasure, but what exactly was it? No, that's not the case. Our mission is, the colorful gems scattered, and the small magical beasts roaming around them collapsed one after another like broken puppets. The black aura on their bodies vanished with the wind. The light that pierced the sky above gradually weakened. As the multicolored light gradually faded, the four people gradually saw a figure emerging from the treasure mountain. The figure appeared pitch black, surrounded by a multicolored light of various colors, including dark purple, red, and white. The five-colored dark light emanating from its body gradually dissipated. It was a small figure, roughly human-like in appearance, about the size of a 3 to 5-year-old human. What is that? Lin Qing asked. To the four people, it looked like a magical beast, a human, and some other mysterious creature. At this moment, the figure above moved slightly, the corners of its mouth seemed to move, and a sound emanated. The sound was strange, stirring the body and mind, even conveying thoughts better than words. It was a sound difficult to understand from a normal human, its subtlety incomprehensible, and it was so refreshing. Could that be the experimental subject? Yu Fan asked. Experimental subject. The mysterious figure that had spoken suddenly vanished from the sky and reappeared before Yu Fan, hovering in the air. Can you speak? Yu Fan asked casually. I can speak, the figure said, circling in the air, as if using the girl before him as its axis, rotating like the hour and minute hands. You must be the experimental subject, Yu Fan added. The three of them could not help but stand behind her and observe. Hearing this, the figure stopped before Yao Fan and frowned slightly. No, the experimental subject you mentioned doesn't sound good, so I'm not one of them, I see. Sorry, you're an incredible being, Not a test subject, Yalfton replied. That's right, the figure nodded slightly. At this point, Pingman asked, excuse me, who are you, and why did you appear from the treasure mountain? Hearing this, the figure smiled, sensing respect and no ill will, and said, I was born from complex causes and conditions. The reason for my birth is a secret that cannot be revealed. The four were puzzled, but it was difficult to say anything to the person before them. At this moment, the figure rose slightly into the air, releasing a multicolored gemstone light. The 5-color dark light illuminated the cave, dispelling all their doubts. Drawn by the light, they no longer had any questions. A moment later, the light faded, and the figure remained suspended in the air. What should I call you? 5-color dark moonlight, the other person said. As he spoke, the 5-color dark moonlight remained suspended in the sky. Meanwhile, several figures from the other side of the cave arrived one after another. One of them, a man in brown and black clothes and a tall hat, said, Found it. That's the experimental subject. I didn't expect you to get here before me. Seeing this, the four of them couldn't help but become wary. The other person added, This place looked like a ruin. What's with all the treasures? Forget that. Let's not talk about that for now. First, let's recover them. Lin Qing sensed that the three people who had come here were extraordinary. Pingman then whispered to the 5-color dark moonlight, There's a mechanical device near this treasure mountain. Do you know where it is? The voice was soft, but the 5-color dark moonlight heard it and knew it was addressed to her. She interpreted the words and groped for something within the 7 treasures mountain. A moment later, the 5-color dark moonlight emerged, holding a small, round, spherical mechanical device. She presented it to Pingman. Is that it? Yes, that should be it. The man in the top hat looked at a machine handed to Harriman and said, That's a special data collection tool. We need to recover it. A woman with light red hair beside the man in the top hat said, Harriman, you found it. Should I say congratulations, Sheila? That's not the case. Now's the time to make it clear. We no longer intend to help that organization, Harriman said. What do you mean? The man in the top hat said. Hearing this, Harriman said, You are Hongmei, right? Hongmei, it's time to make a decision. As he spoke, he tore the wiring inside the circular mechanical device. So, are you betraying me? The 4 people in front of Hongmei were now ready to fight. And with a relative sense of awareness. Want a war? Asked the multicolored dark moonlight. We won't have to this time. Although they appear to have one fewer number than us, each of them is capable of taking on 100 men, Pingman whispered. Wait, what were you just saying to try to be cool? Lin Qing couldn't help but exclaim. No. That's quite right. It's time for us to leave, Yalfin said. At that moment, a firelight suddenly engulfed the 4 men, condensing high-temperature heat energy into a central core that exploded, creating a massive storm and stirring up dust and debris that momentarily blinded the 3 opposing forces. Running? Interesting. Sheila, let's deal with the traitors. Xianyu, I'll leave you to keep an eye on the experimental subjects here, the tall-hatted man said, motioning for Sheila and him to pursue the 4 men who were about to flee. Meanwhile, another man, hiding near the cave entrance, received instructions and slowly moved towards the center. Chapter 200 Chase. Amidst a cloud of dust, Pingman and the others fled towards the other end of the cave. The route was narrow and dim, and all 4 of them ran at a rapid pace. I didn't expect it would turn out like this, Yuzayanan said. Any different opinions? Yufan asked. No, that's perfectly fine. I'm just sorry to have implicated Senior Lin Qing, Yuzayanan replied. The 3 of them agreed, believing the girl shouldn't have been dragged into this situation. Lin Qing, holding a flashlight to illuminate the path, said, Why are you still talking about this? When I decided to come in, I was putting my life on your shoulders, really. You're such a strong senior. I'm so lucky to have known you, Yuzayanan sighed. Don't say that. If you want to thank me, you should escape from their clutches together. Yes, be careful of snipers, Pingman warned. He was always prepared. The situation had already entered a state of combat. Hongmei and Shara stood at the entrance to the cave. The explosion of flames sent dust and sands flying all around them. Furthermore, the rocks surrounding the cave collapsed, blocking the entrance. 4 of you are within range, right? Aim, Sheila, Hongmei said. Yes, the target is currently moving, 100 meters away, Sheila said, aiming from the second stand of her custom mercury-colored sniper rifle perched on a rock. She locked onto her target and pulled the trigger. Flames burst from the muzzle, and with a roar, the high-powered bullet pierced through the rock barrier, striking the target's direction. It's truly powerful. It truly possesses the highest potential attack power. The rock was pierced, opening a path, but the bullet didn't completely hide a single target. The bullet pierced through the rock wall and headed towards one of the targets, Lin Qing. Its power gradually weakened as it broke through the rock wall, and just before it hit, it was blocked by Pingman, using a special defensive ability. This was something they had anticipated. They're here, as expected. That Zula guy, Yuzayan stammered. Don't complain. We've already betrayed them, so whether it's from the front or the back, it's only natural that we'll be attacked, Yufan said. That's right. The only way is to run, but getting out of their range won't be easy, Pingman said. What should we do? Lin Qingfa asked. In short, the only way is to run. Is that so? Everyone agreed that they had to flee, and so they ran, perilously, playing the pitiful role of prey. Constantly vigilant, they ran. This was the second time that night. They continued moving through the cave tunnel. For a while, no one heard any gunfire. It wasn't a long time, but it felt like a long time to them. How strange. There's no second wave of attack, Yufan said. Is it because we ran too far? Yuzayan asked. We're probably still within range, Pingman said. It could be because of the rock wall here, or perhaps some unexpected situation on the other side. Perhaps Zula spared us, Yuzayan speculated. Other possibilities are that she might not be able to detect our location right now, Yufan said. This area is very remote and full of obstacles, and there's also an unusually thick black fog. That's a possibility. Pingman continued to move. Rather than believing that, Pingman's thoughts actually leaned towards Yuzayan inside. The four of them took advantage of this opportunity to keep moving. After several turns, they gradually reached a dead end. Wait, there's no way out, no way. Although they wanted to escape the cave, their sudden rush without paying attention to their retreat had led them to a dead end. Senior Lin Qing, do you know the way? You know it, right, Yuzayan said. She placed her hopes on the senior. Seeing this, Lin Qing replied, don't look at me like that. Didn't I say before that this place is like a maze? Even I have only been here once or twice with a team. In other words, we have accidentally forced ourselves into a dead end, Yufan said. In this case, what should we do? Yuzayan said, I think we should take a look at the situation first. Instead of wandering around outside, it is better to wait here, Lin Qing said. Why? Look, there are a lot of monsters nearby. Those people must be looking for us, but the route we are taking is not so easy to find. We just need to find a hidden place to wait. In that case, the people from the Green Alliance will be back soon, Lin Qing said. The four people's escape route passed through several forks and was in an unexpectedly narrow dead end. That makes sense. It's definitely better than running around. Even escaping this underground maze wouldn't guarantee success. There might be organized forces outside. The only good thing is that communication is poor here, so calling for help might be impossible in the outer realm. Within the underground maze, Xianyu, the man in the hat, was currently deep within a treasure-filled cavern, gazing at a mysterious, radiant figure not far above. Did you conjure up those colorful gems? Upon hearing this, the man in the sky remained unmoved. Xianyu said again, experimental subject, the person walking over there asked me to watch you. Do you think this is okay? At this time, the figure in the sky suddenly disappeared and appeared in front of Xianyu, and said, okay, but forget about calling it an experimental subject. Experimental subject means a living being used for experiments, right? That is indeed very rude. Let's get to the point. Were you born from there? Xianyu pointed to the treasure mountain and asked. Yes, I was born from there. This is incredible. How were you born? Birth only requires cause and condition. Are there parents or something like that? Is it in that treasure mountain? Xianyu continued to ask. Birth only requires cause and condition. Humans seem to be born alive, so why are you asking me this? Yes, I thought of some questions when I met you, Xianyu said. Even if you ask me, I can't solve it. I am not an omniscient and omnipotent existence, but let me ask one thing. What should I call the most kind woman in the world? Well, as a return gift, I will answer. That is Mother, right, Mother. Is it okay for me to call you that, Mother? Said the colorful dark moonlight. Hearing this, Xianyu couldn't help but break out in a cold sweat and quickly said, don't be like this. I'm not like that, you see, I'm so young, I'm actually only 17 this year, calling you mom or something, it's weird, isn't it? I see, mom, that's why I said, just call me sister, just sister. This really is being targeted by a formidable guy, Cheyenne Ayu sighed. The two quickly became friends after communicating, just like two people who were born in different countries and couldn't speak the same language. It's just a joke, don't mind it. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone, see you in the next video.